Welcome back to Boundless Books. We are starting an exhilarating new chapter in the Harry Potter series with Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This book marks a turning point in the wizarding world as it introduces Harry to some of the most thrilling and dangerous challenges he's ever faced. It's not just another year at Hogwarts, it's the year that changes everything. The story begins with a glimpse into the dark and ominous events brewing in the wizarding world. Voldemort, who has been lying low, begins to rise again, setting a sinister tone for the tale. We follow Harry as he experiences the wonders of the Quidditch World Cup, a spectacle filled with magical energy, unexpected chaos, and a haunting attack by Death Eaters. From the very start, this book immerses us in both the excitement and the danger that lie ahead. When Harry returns to Hogwarts, the school is buzzing with anticipation for the legendary Triwizard Tournament, a competition that hasn't been held for over a century. With the arrival of students from Beauxbatons Academy and Durmstrang Institute, the atmosphere becomes electric. The Goblet of Fire is introduced as the impartial judge to choose the tournament's champions, and the stakes are made clear. This is not a game for the faint-hearted. The biggest twist comes when Harry's name is mysteriously selected as a fourth competitor, even though he never entered. This moment changes the trajectory of his year, forcing him into a series of life-threatening tasks designed to test courage, intellect, and resourcefulness. From battling a fierce Hungarian horntail dragon to navigating the depths of the Black Lake and solving the perilous maze leading to the Triwizard Cup, Harry faces incredible challenges that push him to his limits. But the Triwizard Tournament is not the only focus of this book. The deeper story revolves around the looming return of Voldemort and the cracks forming in the wizarding world's sense of safety. Friendships are tested, alliances are formed, and the shadow of the Dark Lord grows ever darker. By the end of the book, we witness one of the most shocking and heartbreaking moments in the series: the death of Cedric Diggory and Voldemort's full return to power. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is more than just a tale of magical competition. It's a story of growth, responsibility, and the harsh realities of a world on the brink of chaos. It's where Harry begins to understand the weight of his destiny and the sacrifices that come with it. Join us as we dive into this unforgettable journey, unraveling every chapter, key moment, and hidden detail. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment as we explore the magic, mystery, and danger of the Goblet of Fire. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we are diving into Chapter 1 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Riddle House. This eerie opening chapter takes us far from Hogwarts and Harry, instead introducing a chilling backstory about the Riddle family and a mysterious connection to Voldemort's return. Let's explore the intriguing and sinister events of this pivotal opening, which begins in the quiet village of Little Hangleton, where the locals still talk about the mysterious deaths of the wealthy Riddle family decades ago. The narrative takes us to the Riddle House, an old, abandoned mansion that has become the source of local legends and ghost stories. Frank Price, the elderly caretaker of the Riddle House, is introduced. Frank has lived a quiet life, though he's still haunted by suspicions surrounding the Riddle's deaths, for which he was wrongfully accused but later cleared. Frank notices strange lights flickering in the house one night and goes to investigate, suspecting intruders. Inside the house, Frank overhears a chilling conversation between two individuals: Lord Voldemort and his loyal servant, Wormtail, Peter Pettigrew. Voldemort, still weak and not yet in his full body, is planning his return to power. They discuss Harry Potter, who must play a key role in Voldemort's rise, though Voldemort doesn't reveal exactly how. Another name is mentioned during their conversation: Bertha Jorkins, a missing Ministry of Magic employee whom Voldemort has interrogated and killed after extracting valuable information. Frank, horrified, accidentally makes a noise and is discovered by Voldemort. Despite pleading his innocence, Frank is murdered with the killing curse, and his death is witnessed by a giant snake named Nagini. The chapter ends with a mysterious shift to Harry Potter, who wakes up in Privet Drive after having a vivid and terrifying dream about Voldemort's plans. Key moments in the chapter include the detailed introduction to the Riddle House and its sinister history, setting an ominous tone for the book. Frank Price's character and his tragic death at the hands of Voldemort, showcasing Voldemort's cruelty, Voldemort's weakened state, and the first mention of his plan to use Harry Potter in his return to power. The introduction of Nagini, who plays a key role in Voldemort's story later in the series. The first glimpse of Voldemort's connection to Bertha Jorkins and how her information contributes to his plans. Differences between the book and the movie. In the movie adaptation, this chapter is condensed significantly. The backstory of the Riddle family is omitted and Frank Price's character is given less context. The scene in the Riddle House is more of a brief visual montage that directly transitions to Harry waking up, whereas the book builds a more detailed and ominous atmosphere. That wraps up Chapter 1, The Riddle House. This chapter sets a dark and thrilling tone for the the book, offering an early glimpse into Voldemort's plans and his growing threat. What did you think about this ominous start? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we explore Chapter 2, The Scar. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we are diving into Chapter 2 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Scar. This chapter takes us back to Harry's life at the Dursleys' home, but something unusual happens. His lightning-shaped scar begins to burn, signaling something sinister. Let's explore the key moments and hidden details in this intriguing chapter. After the eerie events at the Riddle House in Chapter 1, the story shifts to Harry Potter's perspective at 4 Privet Drive. He wakes up suddenly in the middle of the night with a sharp pain in his scar, a rare but unsettling occurrence. Confused and slightly alarmed, Harry sits up, trying to recall the nightmare he just had, which seemed oddly vivid and disturbing. The dream wasn't just any nightmare. It featured Lord Voldemort talking to Wormtail, Peter Pettigrew, and another unknown servant. Voldemort seemed displeased with Wormtail's reluctance to follow orders and punished him with the Cruciatus curse. But what stood out was Voldemort mentioning a plan that involved Harry himself. The mention of his name in the dream made Harry's scar burn intensely, something that had only happened when Voldemort was nearby or extremely angry. Unsure of what to do, Harry considers writing to his best friends Ron and Hermione, but decides against it, not wanting to worry them unnecessarily. Instead, he remembers that Professor Dumbledore once told him that his scar hurting was significant and could indicate a connection to Voldemort. However, Harry hesitates to contact Dumbledore directly. Instead, he decides to write a letter to Sirius Black, his recently discovered godfather. Harry feels that Sirius, as someone who understands the wizarding world well and cares about him, might offer good advice. He writes a brief letter explaining that his scar hurt and that he had a strange dream about Voldemort. He asks if this is something Sirius thinks he should be worried about. With that, Harry seals the letter and prepares to send it, feeling somewhat reassured that at least someone knows about the incident. The chapter ends with Harry reflecting on how his connection to Voldemort has never completely faded, a sign of the dark events to come. Key moments in the chapter include Harry's nightmare. Voldemort is plotting something, and his anger and power are growing. Pain in the scar. Harry experiences a rare burning sensation in his scar, a direct sign of his connection to Voldemort. Voldemort's plans. Voldemort refers to Harry by name, hinting that he is central to his next move, Sirius Black's role. Instead of contacting Dumbledore or his friends, Harry writes to Sirius, showing his growing trust in his godfather. Differences between the book and movie. This scene is entirely missing in the movie. The burning scar is briefly referenced later, but the movie does not include Harry's dream about Voldemort at this point. In the book, Harry is more proactive, writing to Sirius right away, whereas in the movie, he doesn't seek advice about his scar hurting. That wraps up Chapter 2, The Scar. This chapter is a crucial setup for the connection between Harry and Voldemort, showing that the Dark Lord's presence is becoming stronger. What do you think about Harry's decision to write to Sirius instead of Dumbledore? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss Chapter 3, where we finally get to see the Weasleys. Stay tuned for more magical insights. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we are diving into Chapter 3 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Invitation. In this chapter, Harry finally escapes the Dursleys' clutches for the summer after receiving an invitation to the Quidditch World Cup from the Weasleys. However, his departure is anything but smooth, thanks to a confrontation between the Dursleys and Mr. Weasley. Let's explore the humor, tension, and excitement of this pivotal chapter, which begins with Harry waking up at the Dursleys after his eventful dream involving Voldemort in the previous chapter. He is relieved to have received letters from Ron, Hermione, and Sirius, breaking the monotony of his stay at Privet Drive. Ron's letter is particularly exciting. It contains an invitation for Harry to join the Weasleys at the Quidditch World Cup, a rare and prestigious event in the wizarding world. However, before he can attend, he must get permission from the Dursleys. Given their usual disdain for anything related to magic, this is no easy task. Harry cleverly plays on their fears, mentioning his dangerous godfather, Sirius Black, who is supposedly watching over him. The Dursleys, intimidated by the idea of a criminal wizard keeping an eye on Harry, reluctantly agree to let him go. The real comedic chaos begins when the Weasleys arrive to pick up Harry. Instead of using normal means, Mr. Weasley, Fred, George and Ron attempt to use flue powder to travel via the fireplace. However, since the Dursleys have a blocked-up electric fireplace, this results in a disastrous entrance, leaving them momentarily stuck behind the wall before they blast their way through. Arthur Weasley, fascinated by Muggle life, tries to engage the Dursleys in polite conversation, but Vernon and Petunia remain cold and standoffish. Meanwhile, Fred and George decide to leave a parting gift for Dudley, a Tun-Tung toffee, which causes his tongue to swell to an enormous size. The Dursleys panic, but Arthur scolds the twins and tries to help. Amidst the commotion, Harry quickly says his goodbyes and escapes with the Weasleys, leaving behind the fuming Dursleys. Key moments in the chapter include the invitation to the Quidditch World Cup. Ron invites Harry to join them at the Quidditch World Cup, an event that excites Harry greatly. Harry manipulating the Dursleys. By mentioning Sirius Black, he pressures the Dursleys into agreeing to let him go. The Weasleys' chaotic arrival. Mr. Weasley, Fred, George and Ron try to use the flue network, causing a disaster when their exit is blocked. Fred and George's prank. The twins slip Dudley a Tun-Tung toffee, causing a humorous yet alarming scene. Arthur Weasley's frustration. Mr. Weasley, who respects Muggles, is angered by how poorly the Dursleys treat Harry and their rudeness toward him. Differences between the book and the movie. This chapter was completely omitted from the Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire film. The movie skips Harry's summer at the Dursleys entirely and starts with him already at the burrow. This means the hilarious moment of the Weasleys destroying the Dursleys' fireplace and Fred and George's prank on Dudley never made it to the screen. Fans of the book often miss this scene as it showcases the contrast between the magical and Muggle worlds while adding humor and tension. That wraps up chapter 3, The Invitation. This chapter sets the stage for Harry's return to the wizarding world in a fun and chaotic way. What did you think about the Weasleys' method of picking up Harry? Let us know your favorite part in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe and join us next time as we cover chapter 4, Back to the Burrow. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we are diving into chapter 4 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Back to the Burrow. In this chapter, we witness the Weasleys' unique way of picking up Harry from the Dursleys, a moment filled with tension, humor, and a touch of magical chaos. Let's explore the key events that unfold as Harry prepares to leave Privet Drive and head to the Burrow. Harry eagerly awaits the arrival of the Weasleys, who are supposed to pick him up at 5 o'clock. Uncle Vernon grudgingly agrees to let Harry go, though he makes his usual rude remarks about wizards. When the time arrives, the Dursleys expect a car, but instead, a loud bang signals the arrival of the Weasley family via the flue network, directly into the Dursleys' living room. Arthur Weasley, along with Fred, George and Ron, appear in the fireplace. However, since the Dursleys had the fireplace boarded up, they find themselves stuck behind the bricks. Arthur has to blast a hole in the wall to free them, much to the horror of the Dursleys. Arthur, ever fascinated by Muggles, tries to engage Uncle Vernon in conversation, but Vernon remains cold and unfriendly. Meanwhile, Fred and George, always up to mischief, secretly drop a piece of candy called a Tun-Tung toffee on the floor. Dudley, ever greedy for sweets, quickly picks it up and eats it, only to find his tongue swelling rapidly to an enormous size. The Dursleys panic, with Aunt Petunia desperately trying to yank Dudley's tongue back to normal. Arthur, though frustrated with his sons, attempts to help while trying to calm the furious Dursleys. Harry quickly gathers his things, and after a tense and chaotic farewell, he steps into the fireplace and disappears in a whirl of green flames, leaving behind an outraged Vernon, a horrified Petunia, and a panicked Dudley. Key moments in the chapter include the Weasleys attempting to use the flue network at the Dursleys' house, only to get stuck behind a boarded-up fireplace. Arthur Weasley's polite but awkward attempts to converse with the Dursleys, who remain rude and unwelcoming. Fred and George pranking Dudley by leaving a Tun-Tung toffee, causing his tongue to swell massively. The Dursleys' furious reaction to the magic, leading to an abrupt and dramatic departure for Harry. Differences between the book and the movie. The movie completely omits this scene. Instead, it skips directly to Harry already being at the Burrow, leaving out the humor and chaos of the Weasleys trying to retrieve Harry from Privet Drive. The omission removes a significant moment of contrast between the wizarding world and the Dursleys, as well as Fred and George George's hilarious prank on Dudley. That wraps up Chapter 4, Back to the Burrow. This chapter is a fun yet chaotic transition from Harry's miserable time at the Dursleys to the warmth and excitement of the Weasley household. What was your favorite moment? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 5. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we are diving into Chapter 5 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Weasleys, Wizard, Wheezes. In this chapter, Harry wakes up at the burrow and enjoys a warm, lively morning with the Weasley family. We see Fred and George's ambitious plans for their joke shop, learn about Percy's obsession with his ministry job, and experience the excitement of preparing for the Quidditch World Cup. Let's explore the key moments and character developments that make this chapter so engaging. The morning at the burrow is bustling with activity as the Weasleys and Harry prepare to head to the Quidditch World Cup. Fred and George, in particular, stand out as they attempt to sneak some gold from their mother, revealing their growing interest in joke products under the name Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. Mrs. Weasley, however, is not amused and scolds them for not taking their future seriously. Percy remains fixated on his work at the Ministry of Magic, constantly praising his boss, Mr. Crouch, while Ron and the twins tease him mercilessly. While packing, Harry and Ron have a conversation about Bagman and Crouch, two key ministry figures involved in organizing the World Cup. This chapter also sets up future conflicts, particularly regarding Fred and George's ambitions, Mrs. Weasley's concern for them, and Percy's blind loyalty to the ministry. Finally, the group heads out, preparing to use an unusual method of travel, the portkey. Key moments in the chapter include Harry's morning at the burrow, a cozy and familiar scene showcasing the warmth of the Weasley household. Fred and George's joke shop plans, their dreams of running a joke shop, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, are introduced. Percy's obsession with the ministry, his devotion to Mr. Crouch, and his bureaucratic attitude create tension. Packing for the World Cup, the excitement builds as they prepare for their trip. First mention of portkeys, a hint at the magical method of transport they will use. Differences between the book and movie. This chapter was left out of the movie entirely. The film skips straight to the Quidditch World Cup, cutting Fred and George's business aspirations, Percy's job obsession, and the fun family dynamics at the burrow. These details add richness to the book, setting up future Weasley family tensions and showing the early development of Fred and George's entrepreneurial spirit. That wraps up Chapter 5, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. This chapter gives us a delightful glimpse into the Weasley household while setting the stage for future events. What's your favorite Weasley moment so far? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for Chapter 6, where we dive into the magical world of portkeys and the journey to the Quidditch World Cup. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we're diving into Chapter 6 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Portkey. In this chapter, Harry, Hermione, and the Weasleys set off for the Quidditch World Cup, encountering magical transportation, other visiting families, and a glimpse into the wizarding world's vibrant culture. Let's explore the journey, key moments, and the magic behind portkeys. The morning of the Quidditch World Cup begins early at the burrow. Everyone wakes up before dawn, including a reluctant and sleepy Harry. Mrs. Weasley rushes the group, ensuring they are well prepared for their journey. Fred and George manage to annoy Percy with their constant teasing, particularly about his admiration for Mr. Crouch at the Ministry of Magic. Mr. Weasley leads the group. Harry, Ron, Hermione, Fred, George, Percy, and Ginny on a long trek across the countryside to their transportation point. He explains the different methods wizards use to travel, including apparition, which Harry has not experienced yet, flue powder, and broomsticks. However, for large events like the World Cup, the Ministry has set up designated portkeys, ordinary objects that transport wizards to specific locations at a prearranged time. As they climb a hill, they meet Cedric Diggory and his father Amos Diggory. Cedric, a Hufflepuff student at Hogwarts, is friendly but modest, while his father boasts about Cedric's Quidditch victory against Gryffindor the previous year. Amos Diggory playfully teases Harry about this loss, though it's clear Cedric himself doesn't share his father's arrogance. When it's time to travel, Mr. Weasley directs everyone to a battered old boot, the portkey. At precisely the right moment, they all grab hold of it and are suddenly whisked away in a rush of wind and color, tumbling onto the ground at their destination. The group arrives at a hilltop near the World Cup stadium. where Ministry official Basil is waiting. He welcomes them and provides directions to their campsite. Key moments in the chapter include the introduction of portkeys, a fascinating and efficient form of wizarding transportation. Amos Diggory's boastful attitude toward his son's Quidditch skills, highlighting Cedric's humility and setting up Cedric's future role in the story. The contrast between wizarding and Muggle travel, showcasing how the magical community conceals large-scale events like the Quidditch World Cup. Harry's first experience with the portkey, giving him a taste of a new magical travel method. Differences between the book and the movie. This entire chapter is omitted in the movie. Instead of showing the journey to the Quidditch World Cup via portkey, the film cuts directly to the event, skipping Harry's interactions with the Diggorys and his experience using a portkey for the first time. The book provides more details about wizarding transportation, whereas the movie only briefly mentions it later when the portkey is used to transport Harry to Voldemort. The humorous interactions between Fred, George and Percy, as well as Amos Diggory's playful teasing, are completely removed from the film. That wraps up Chapter 6, The Portkey. This chapter gives us a closer look at wizarding travel and introduces important characters like Amos and Cedric Diggory. What are your thoughts on portkeys? Would you try one if you had the chance? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 7, Bagman and Crouch. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we're diving into Chapter 7 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Bagman and Crouch. In this chapter, Harry and the Weasleys arrive at the magical Quidditch World Cup, where we're introduced to two significant figures, Ludo Bagman and Barty Crouch. These two officials will play crucial roles in the Triwizard Tournament, and their contrasting personalities give us a fascinating insight into the workings of the wizarding world. Let's break down the excitement and key moments of this chapter. After arriving at the Quidditch World Cup campground, Harry, Hermione, and the Weasleys settle into their magical tent, which, despite looking small from the outside, is enchantingly spacious inside. The entire campground is buzzing with witches and wizards from all over the world, creating a truly magical atmosphere. As they explore the area, they meet old friends and new faces, including Cedric Diggory and his father Amos Diggory, who takes the opportunity to remind everyone of how Cedric once defeated Harry in a Quidditch match, though circumstances had been unfair to Harry. This interaction showcases Cedric's humility and Amos's eagerness to highlight his son's achievements. Soon after, Arthur Weasley introduces Harry to Ludo Bagman, the head of the Department of Magical Games and Sports, and Barty Crouch, the stern head of the Department of International Magical Cooperation. The two men couldn't be more different. Bagman is energetic, fun-loving, and a former Quidditch star, while Crouch is strict, highly formal, and speaks in a manner that reflects his bureaucratic nature. Bagman, dressed in his old Quidditch robes, excitedly places bets on the upcoming Quidditch World Cup match between Ireland and Bulgaria. He even makes a private bet with Fred and George Weasley, who wager all their savings on an unusual prediction that Ireland will win, but Victor Crumb will catch the snitch. Meanwhile, Crouch is all business, discussing regulations and ensuring everything is in order for the tournament. His formal demeanor and lack of interest in Quidditch contrast sharply with Bagman's excitement. Harry and the others also learn that Crouch speaks in dozens of languages, including gobbledygook, the language of goblins. After their meeting, the group prepares for the upcoming Quidditch match, eagerly anticipating the legendary game ahead. Key moments in the chapter include the magical Quidditch World Cup campsite. Harry experiences the unique wizarding culture, filled with enchanted tents, international visitors, and excitement for the match. Meeting Amos and Cedric Diggory. Amos boasts about Cedric's Quidditch victory over Harry, showcasing their contrasting personalities. Amos being proud and competitive, while Cedric remains modest. Introduction of Ludo Bagman and Barty Crouch. These two contrasting officials are introduced, Bagman being carefree and obsessed with Quidditch, while Crouch is rigid, serious, and focused on regulations. Fred and George's bet. The twins bet all their money on an unlikely outcome, foreshadowing their risky but clever nature. The excitement for the Quidditch World Cup match. The chapter builds anticipation for the game, setting the stage for an unforgettable event. Differences between the book and the movie. This entire chapter is absent from the Goblet of Fire movie. The film skips over the build-up of the Quidditch World Cup, including the introductions of Ludo Bagman and Barty Crouch. Bagman, in particular, is completely omitted from the film, removing his role in the Triwizard Tournament's behind-the-scenes dealings. The exclusion of this chapter takes away some of the political dynamics within the Ministry of Magic and the depth of Fred and George's financial risk-taking. That wraps up Chapter 7. Bagman and Crouch. This chapter gives us a deeper look into the wizarding world beyond Hogwarts and introduces two important figures who will play major roles in the story. What did you think of Ludo Bagman and Barty Crouch? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe and join us next time for Chapter 8, where we finally witness the legendary Quidditch World Cup match. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we are diving into Chapter 8 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Quidditch World Cup. This chapter brings us one of the most exciting moments in the series, the legendary Quidditch World Cup final between Ireland and Bulgaria. We witness magical displays, high-speed action, and the introduction of Victor Crumb, the world-famous Seeker. Let's dive into the spectacle of the wizarding world's biggest sporting event. The morning of the Quidditch World Cup arrives, and the Weasleys, Harry and Hermione make their way to the massive enchanted stadium. The sheer size and magic of the stadium amaze Harry. It can seat 100,000 spectators, with golden stands reaching dizzying heights. Wizards from all over the world have gathered, dressed in colourful team attire, waving flags and chanting for their favourite teams. Inside, Harry and his friends take their seats in the top box, an exclusive area reserved for VIPs. There, they meet several important figures, including Winky, a nervous house elf serving Barty Crouch Sr. The group also sees the Malfoys, who are seated nearby and looking smug as ever. Before the match begins, the entertainment kicks off with grand magical displays from the two competing nations. First, the Irish supporters unleash shimmering green lights in the form of leprechauns, who shower the crowd with gold. The Bulgarians counter with a dazzling entrance from the villa, stunningly beautiful creatures that mesmerize everyone with their dance. Their effect is so powerful that Ron nearly throws himself off the stadium in a trance-like state, while even Harry struggles to resist their allure. Then, the moment everyone has been waiting for arrives. The players soar into the sky and the Quidditch World Cup final begins. The match is incredibly fast-paced, with Ireland dominating the game despite Victor Crumb's exceptional skill as Bulgaria's Seeker. The Irish chasers, Troy, Mullet and Moran, execute flawless maneuvers, while the Bulgarian beaters play aggressively to keep up. The crowd is on edge as Crumb finally spots the snitch. Though he successfully catches it, Ireland is already too far ahead in points. The final score stands at Ireland 170, Bulgaria 160, making Ireland the winners of the Quidditch World Cup. However, Crumb's strategy, catching the snitch despite knowing Bulgaria would lose, demonstrates his intelligence and sportsmanship. As the game concludes, the Irish fans celebrate wildly, while the Bulgarian supporters remain solemn. Fred and George, thrilled that their unlikely bet paid off, eagerly await their winnings from Ludo Bagman. The chapter ends with an electric atmosphere, but the night is far from over. Something dark is lurking on the horizon. Key moments in the chapter include the magical Quidditch Stadium, a massive, enchanted structure that stuns Harry with its grandeur and magical enhancements. Meeting VIPs in the top box, Harry encounters important figures, including Winky the house elf and the Malfoys, adding tension to the scene. The pre-match entertainment, Ireland's leprechauns and Bulgaria's villa create a mesmerizing spectacle, showcasing the different magical cultures. The fast-paced Quidditch match, Ireland's chasers dominate, while Crumb's impressive performance highlights why he's considered the best seeker in the world. Crumb's tactical snitch catch. Despite knowing Bulgaria will lose, Crumb captures the snitch, showing his strategic mindset and sportsmanship. Fred and George's victory. Their bold bet pays off, and they excitedly anticipate their winnings from Ludo Bagman. Differences between the book and the movie. The Goblet of Fire movie completely skips the Quidditch match itself, only showing glimpses of the stadium and the pre-game excitement before cutting to the aftermath. This removes the intense, high-energy action of the match, as well as key character moments like Crumb's strategic snitch catch and Fred and George's victorious bet. The movie also omits the magical performances by the leprechauns and Vila, which helped enrich the cultural aspect of the wizarding world. That wraps up Chapter 8, the Quidditch World Cup. This chapter delivers one of the most thrilling sporting events in the Harry Potter series, full of magic, excitement, and unforgettable moments. Who are you rooting for, Ireland or Bulgaria? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 9, where the celebration takes a dark turn. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we are diving into Chapter 9 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Dark Mark. This chapter takes us through the chaotic aftermath of the Quidditch World Cup as mysterious dark forces make their presence known. Let's explore the fear, confusion, and ominous signs of trouble in this pivotal chapter. After the excitement of the Quidditch World Cup, Harry, Hermione, and the Weasleys are awoken in the middle of the night by terrified screams. Outside their tent, a group of masked Death Eaters is terrorizing the campgrounds, levitating and humiliating Muggle campers. Mr. Weasley quickly ushers his family into the woods for safety, while he and the other adults go to assist the ministry officials in quelling the chaos. In the woods, Harry realizes he's lost his wand, and the group encounters other frightened witches and wizards, including Draco Malfoy, who taunts them about the danger they're in. Suddenly, a mysterious voice casts Mordre, and a giant green skull with a serpent tongue, the Dark Mark, appears in the sky, the sign of Voldemort. The ministry officials arrive, and suspecting someone in their group of casting the mark, they fire stunning spells, nearly hitting innocent bystanders. Winky, the house elf belonging to Barty Crouch, is found with Harry's wand, and Mr. Crouch harshly rebukes her. The situation is tense, and the chapter ends with everyone shaken by the reappearance of the Dark Mark and what it might mean. Key moments in the chapter include the terror caused by the Death Eaters' attack on the Muggle campsite, the introduction of the Dark Mark as a symbol of Voldemort's followers, the tension and distrust among wizards as the ministry tries to control the situation, Winky's suspicious appearance with Harry's wand and the harsh treatment she receives, differences between the book and movie. In the movie adaptation, the events of the Quidditch World Cup and the Dark Mark are much briefer, focusing less on the chaos and the deeper impact it had on the wizarding community. The book delves into the fear and confusion among wizards and muggles alike, highlighting the terror that Voldemort's followers can still incite. That wraps up Chapter 9. The Dark Mark. This chapter ramps up the tension and sets the stage for the dark events that follow. Let us know your thoughts on the reappearance of the Dark Mark in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 10. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we are diving into Chapter 10 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Mayhem at the Ministry. This chapter explores the aftermath of the Quidditch World Cup disaster, introducing us to the daily chaos at the Ministry of Magic while deepening the mystery surrounding the Dark Mark and its implications. Let's break down the key moments and details. The Weasley family, along with Harry, Hermione, and the Diggories, wake up early the morning after the attack at the Quidditch World Cup campsite. Everyone is exhausted, but Mr. Weasley is particularly on edge, knowing the ministry will be in turmoil. The group quickly eats breakfast before heading to the portkey that will take them back home. As soon as they arrive at the burrow, Mrs. Weasley is relieved to see them all safe, having spent a sleepless night worrying after hearing about the Death Eater attack. She hugs her children tightly and scolds the twins, Fred and George, for trying to smuggle their joke products into their luggage, reinforcing her disapproval of their ambitions to start a joke shop. Mr. Weasley, despite being exhausted, must immediately leave for work at the ministry. The aftermath of the attack has created a crisis, and he expects the day to be hectic. The ministry is in complete disarray, with officials working tirelessly to cover up the incident and prevent Muggle exposure. Ludo Bagman is avoiding responsibility, and Percy, ever eager to prove himself, is overly enthusiastic about the chaos, showing admiration for his boss, Mr. Crouch, while dismissing the actual concerns surrounding the attack. Later in the day, Percy and Mr. Weasley return home, clearly frustrated. The ministry's work has been overwhelming, and tensions are high. Rita Skeeter, a sensationalist journalist for the Daily Prophet, has published an exaggerated article blaming the ministry for incompetence, twisting facts, and making them appear negligent. This frustrates Mr. Weasley, as she portrays him as a fool, embellishing details to make the ministry look bad. Percy, however, defends the ministry's position, believing that following procedures is the solution, despite the real dangers at hand. Meanwhile, Fred and George receive a mysterious letter, which they seem excited about but do not share much detail. This hints at something they are planning, potentially tied to their ambitions for their joke shop. As the chapter closes, preparations for the Hogwarts return continue, and the atmosphere remains tense as everyone wonders what the attack at the World Cup could mean for the future. Key moments in the chapter include the Weasleys and friends return home safely. After the chaotic night at the World Cup, they make it back to the burrow, where Mrs. Weasley anxiously awaits them. Chaos at the ministry. Arthur Weasley rushes off to work to deal with the crisis, revealing the Ministry's struggles to control public perception. Percy's loyalty to Mr. Crouch. Percy continues to idolize his superior, dismissing concerns while prioritizing bureaucratic efficiency over real threats. Rita Skeeter's article, her sensationalized reporting exposes the Ministry's vulnerabilities and foreshadows her role as a troublesome journalist in the story. Fred and George's secret letter. The twins receive a mysterious letter, hinting at their secret plans, which will be important later in the book. Differences between the book and movie. This chapter is omitted from the movie, with most of the post-Quidditch World Cup chaos being skipped. The film does not explore the Ministry's response, Percy's role, or the impact of Rita Skeeter's articles, significantly reducing the political intrigue surrounding the Death Eater attack. That wraps up Chapter 10, Mayhem at the Ministry. This chapter provides crucial insight into how the Ministry functions under pressure and introduces themes of media manipulation and government incompetence. What do you think of Rita Skeeter's portrayal of the Ministry? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 11. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we are diving into Chapter 11 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Aboard the Hogwarts Express. In this chapter, Harry and the Weasleys head to King's Cross Station, where they board the Hogwarts Express for another school year. The journey introduces us to some fascinating new details, including hints at upcoming events at Hogwarts and a deeper dive into the rivalry between Malfoy and Harry. Let's explore the key moments and hidden details of this chapter. The morning at the burrow is filled with the usual chaotic rush to leave for King's Cross. Mrs. Weasley fusses over everyone, ensuring they have their things, and they travel to the station using 3 Ministry-provided cars, thanks to Mr. Weasley's connections. At the platform, Mr. Weasley has a tense encounter with Amos Diggory, who proudly discusses his son Cedric and how he beat Harry at Quidditch last year. Once aboard the Hogwarts Express, Harry, Ron and Hermione find a compartment and settle in. They discuss the upcoming school year and the mysterious event Mr. Weasley had hinted at. Something significant happening at Hogwarts. Soon, Draco Malfoy stops by, smugly hinting that he knows more about this event than they do. He taunts them about his father's connections, suggesting that the mystery involves something exciting. Fred and George are also acting secretive, whispering about something they've been working on and dismissing Ron's curiosity. Meanwhile, Hermione is deeply invested in a new cause, SPEW, the Society for the Promotion of Elfish Welfare. After seeing Winky's distress at the Quidditch World Cup, she's determined to fight for house elves' rights. But Ron and Harry are skeptical about how interested the elves are in being freed. As they near Hogwarts, the students change into their robes and the excitement builds. The chapter ends with the train pulling into Hogsmeade Station, setting the stage for what promises to be an unforgettable school year. Key moments in the chapter include the Weasleys and Harry's journey to King's Cross with Ministry-provided cars, Amos Diggory boasting about Cedric's Quidditch victory over Harry, Malfoy hinting that he knows something about the mysterious event at Hogwarts, Hermione launching her spew campaign for house elf rights, Fred and George acting secretive about something they're planning, differences between the book and the movie. This chapter is completely omitted in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire movie. The Hogwarts Express journey and Malfoy's taunts aren't shown, and Hermione's spew campaign is entirely left out. The movie skips the build-up to the major event at Hogwarts and instead jumps straight into the arrival scene. That wraps up Chapter 11, Aboard the Hogwarts Express. The hints dropped in this chapter set the stage for thrilling surprises ahead. Let us know your favorite moment in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 12. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we are diving into Chapter 12 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Triwizard Tournament. This chapter is packed with excitement as Hogwarts welcomes students from Beauxbatons Academy of Magic and Durmstrang Institute, and Dumbledore officially announces the return of the legendary Triwizard Tournament. Let's explore the grand entrance of these schools, the tournament's history, and the rules that will shape the competition. The chapter opens with a shift in the atmosphere at Hogwarts. Everyone is buzzing with curiosity and anticipation. The students from Beauxbatons and Durmstrang finally arrive in spectacular fashion. The Beauxbatons students, led by Madame Maxime, arrive in a massive flying powder blue carriage pulled by enormous winged horses. Meanwhile, the Durmstrang students, under the leadership of Igor Karkaroff, make a dramatic entrance aboard a mystical ship that emerges from the depths of the Black Lake. Harry, Ron and Hermione watch in awe as the foreign students step onto Hogwarts grounds. Ron is particularly starstruck when he sees Victor Krum, the famous Bulgarian seeker, among the Durmstrang students. Krum's presence at Hogwarts causes an immediate stir, especially among the Quidditch fans. At the welcoming feast, Dumbledore officially introduces the Triwizard Tournament, a competition between Hogwarts, Beauxbatons and Durmstrang that had been discontinued due to its extreme dangers. He explains that one champion will be selected from each school by the Goblet of Fire and only students 17 or older can enter. This age restriction disappoints many younger students, especially Fred and George Weasley, who are already scheming ways to bypass the rule. The arrival of the foreign students and the Triwizard Tournament's announcement set the stage for an exciting and dangerous school year. Tensions and rivalries will soon emerge, and friendships will be tested as the competition unfolds. Key moments in the chapter include the grand arrival of Beauxbatons and Durmstrang students, showcasing their unique styles and magical transports. Ron's adoration for Victor Krum, who is revealed to be a Durmstrang student competing in the tournament. Dumbledore's history lesson on the Triwizard Tournament and its deadly nature. The introduction of the Goblet of Fire, which will determine the champions. Fred and George's immediate plot to outsmart the age restriction and enter the tournament. Differences between the book and movie. In the book, there is a grand welcoming feast where the students from Beauxbatons and Durmstrang are formally introduced, whereas in the movie, their arrival happens outside and is much more theatrical. The book provides more details on the Triwizard Tournament's history, explaining past failures and its reinstatement. Victor Krum's presence at Durmstrang is emphasized in the book, while in the movie, he simply appears as a Triwizard competitor with little backstory. The Goblet of Fire selection process is given more depth in the book, whereas the movie rushes through it. That wraps up Chapter 12, the Triwizard Tournament. With the stage set, the competition is about to begin, and Hogwarts will soon have its champions. What do you think of the Triwizard Tournament's return? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned as we cover Chapter 13, where excitement and mystery continue to build. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 13 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Mad-Eye Moody. This chapter introduces us to Hogwarts' new defense against the dark arts professor, Alastor Mad-Eye Moody, a grizzled ex-Auror with a fearsome reputation. His unorthodox teaching methods shock the students as he demonstrates the 3 unforgivable curses in a lesson that leaves the class stunned, especially Neville Longbottom. Meanwhile, tensions rise between Ron and Hermione over her support for House Elves' rights through SPEW, and Draco Malfoy continues to be an insufferable presence. Let's explore the intense lessons, key character moments, and eerie foreshadowing in this pivotal chapter, which begins with Hogwarts settling into its usual routine after the excitement of the first day of classes. However, not everything is normal. Hogwarts now has a defense against the dark arts professor like none before, the infamous Mad-Eye Moody. Before his class, we see Ron struggling with a pile of homework, Hermione's continued enthusiasm for SPEW, and Malfoy taking every opportunity to make jabs at Harry. Hermione is determined to raise awareness about house elf mistreatment, but neither Harry nor Ron seems particularly interested. As they head to their first defense against the dark arts class, the atmosphere is filled with anticipation. Moody, a former Auror, is known for his paranoia and fearsome magical ability, and he wastes no time proving that he is unlike any professor they have encountered before. Instead of lectures and theory, Moody launches straight into demonstrating the 3 unforgivable curses, dark spells so terrible that their use earns a wizard a one-way ticket to Azkaban. The Imperious Curse, Imperio. Moody places a spider under this curse, making it perform unnatural acrobatics and dance around, illustrating how it robs its victim of free will. He explains that wizards once used this curse to control others during Voldemort's reign. The Cruciatus Curse, Crucio. This curse, which inflicts unbearable pain, is demonstrated when Moody uses it on the spider, making it writhe in agony. Neville Longbottom reacts particularly badly to this, and Hermione tries to stop Moody from continuing. The Killing Curse, Avada Kedavra. With a flash of green light, Moody kills the spider instantly. He tells the class that this is the curse that killed Harry's parents, and that there is no known counter-curse, except for Harry Potter himself, who survived it. The classroom is left in shocked silence after Moody's lesson. His approach is blunt, even terrifying, but he justifies it by saying, "You need to know. You need to be prepared." This marks a stark contrast to previous defense against the dark arts teachers. While Lockhart was a fraud, and Lupin taught practical defense, Moody is preparing them for real-life survival. Later, Moody takes Neville aside for a chat, showing concern for his reaction to the Cruciatus Curse. This is a subtle but crucial moment, as we later learn that Neville's parents, Frank and Alice Longbottom, were tortured into insanity by Bellatrix Lestrange using this very curse. Moody also gives Neville a book on magical plants, which is meant to encourage him and boost his confidence. The chapter ends with Harry, Ron, and Hermione discussing the lesson. Hermione is particularly disturbed, but Ron, while shaken, thinks Moody is brilliant. Their discussion is interrupted when Malfoy mocks Ron for his family's poverty, which leads to a brief confrontation. The chapter leaves readers with a strong impression of Moody's intensity and the ominous reality of the dark arts. Key moments in the chapter include introduction of Alastor Mad-Eye Moody. His rugged appearance and paranoid nature make him an intimidating presence at Hogwarts. Demonstration of the 3 unforgivable curses: Imperius, mind control; Cruciatus, torture; and Avada Kedavra, instant death. Neville's reaction to the Cruciatus curse, a haunting moment that foreshadows his tragic family history. Moody's unorthodox teaching methods, a stark contrast to previous defense against the dark arts professors, making it clear he takes the subject seriously. Ron and Hermione's argument over SPEW. Ron dismisses Hermione's activism, highlighting their different perspectives on house elf rights. Malfoy's antagonism. Draco continues to mock Harry and Ron, adding to the ongoing conflict. Differences between the book and movie. In the book, Moody's demonstration of the unforgivable curses takes place over a full lesson, with a stronger focus on the psychological impact on the students, especially Neville. The book also emphasizes Moody's concern for Neville, which is important for his later character development. In the movie, the scene is shortened significantly, and Moody only uses the curses on a single spider, without showing much personal interest in Neville's reaction. Hermione's activism with SPEW is omitted from the movie, removing an ongoing subplot. Ron and Malfoy's tension is toned down, with fewer direct confrontations in the film. That wraps up Chapter 13, Mad-Eye Moody. This chapter gives us one of the most intense and memorable Defense Against the Dark Arts lessons, a closer look at the dangers of dark magic, and a chilling reminder of Voldemort's past reign. What did you think of Moody's teaching methods? Do you agree with his belief that students should be exposed to the harsh realities of magic? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we dive into Chapter 14 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Today, we're diving into Chapter 14, The Unforgivable Curses from Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This chapter takes us into the heart of Professor Moody's Defense Against the Dark Arts lesson, where he introduces the students to some of the most terrifying magic in the wizarding world, the 3 unforgivable curses. Let's explore the intense and eye-opening lesson that leaves a lasting impression on Harry and his classmates. The chapter begins with the students still buzzing about the announcement of the Triwizard Tournament. Everyone is speculating on how the selection process will work and whether or not they stand a chance of participating. However, discussions shift when it's time for Defense Against the Dark Arts, with the mysterious new professor, Alastor Mad-Eye Moody. Unlike any of their previous teachers, Moody immediately takes a direct, hands-on approach to teaching. He begins by telling the class that he has received special permission from Dumbledore to teach them about the unforgivable curses, something normally forbidden in Hogwarts. The class is both intrigued and unsettled. Moody demonstrates each of the 3 curses, the Imperius curse, Imperio. He uses this on a spider, making it perform unnatural movements against its will. He explains how this curse has been used to control people, making them act against their nature. The Cruciatus curse, Crucio. Moody then casts this on another spider, causing it to writhe in excruciating pain. Neville Longbottom reacts particularly strongly to this, trembling in his seat. The killing curse, Avada Kedavra. Finally, Moody kills a spider with a flash of green light and explains that there is no known counter-curse or defense against it, except for one recorded survivor, Harry Potter. Harry is deeply affected by the demonstration, remembering the night his parents were murdered. The mention of his survival causes the entire class to look at him in awe and curiosity. Meanwhile, Neville's reaction to the Cruciatus curse does not go unnoticed by Moody, who subtly comforts him after class and gives him a book on magical plants, likely an attempt to ease his distress. As the lesson ends, the weight of what they have just witnessed sinks in. The class leaves with a grim understanding of the dark magic that exists in the world, magic that has shaped history and deeply impacted some of their own classmates. Key moments in the chapter include Moody's teaching style. Unlike any professor before him, Moody takes a practical, no-nonsense approach, showing students real-life dangers rather than just theoretical knowledge. The 3 unforgivable curses, the Imperius, Cruciatus, and Avada Kedavra curses, curses are revealed in a way that leaves a chilling impression on the students. Harry's connection to the killing curse. Moody highlights that Harry is the only known survivor of Avada Kedavra, making the lesson deeply personal for him. Neville's reaction to the Cruciatus curse. His strong emotional response hints at his tragic past, later revealed to be the torture of his parents by Death Eaters. Moody's kindness to Neville. In a rare moment of empathy, Moody comforts Neville by giving him a book on herbology, subtly recognizing his pain. Differences between the book and movie. In the movie, Moody's lesson is shown, but it is less detailed. The impact on Neville is somewhat present, but not as emphasized as in the book. In the book, Moody gives Neville the herbology book as a gesture of kindness, but this moment is absent from the film. The movie does not highlight how students react to Harry's connection with Avada Kedavra as much as the book does. That wraps up Chapter 14, The Unforgivable Curses. This chapter is a turning point, showing just how dangerous the wizarding world can be. Moody's lesson is not just educational, but foreshadows key themes of the book, especially about control, pain, and death. Let us know in the comments. Which unforgivable curse do you think is the most terrifying? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 15, Beauxbatons and Durmstrang.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 15 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Beauxbatons and Durmstrang. In this chapter, excitement builds at Hogwarts as the students eagerly await the arrival of the two foreign wizarding schools for the Triwizard Tournament. The mystery of who will represent each school adds to the anticipation, and we get our first glimpses of the champions who will play a pivotal role in the events to come. Let's dive into the details of this thrilling chapter. As October sets in, Hogwarts prepares for the highly anticipated arrival of Beauxbatons and Durmstrang, the two other wizarding schools participating in the Triwizard Tournament. The Great Hall is transformed with extra decorations, and an air of excitement and curiosity spreads among the students. Hagrid takes special care in his appearance, much to the amusement of Harry and Ron. He seems particularly interested in Madame Maxime, the headmistress of Beauxbaton, whom we will soon meet. When the day finally arrives, the students gather outside to witness the grand entrances of the visiting schools. Beauxbatons makes a dramatic arrival with a massive powder blue carriage drawn by enormous winged horses. The carriage lands smoothly, and out steps Madame Maxime, a towering woman who is nearly the same size as Hagrid. The Beauxbaton students, dressed in silk robes, appear elegant and delicate, setting a stark contrast to the rougher, more rugged entrance of Durmstrang. Durmstrang makes its appearance with a magical ship that rises from the depths of the Black Lake. The Durmstrang students disembark, looking more battle-ready in their thick furs. Their headmaster, Igor Karkaroff, emerges, and to everyone's shock, he is accompanied by none other than Viktor Krum, the famous Bulgarian seeker from the Quidditch World Cup. Ron is particularly stunned as he idolizes Krum and can't believe he is now attending Hogwarts as part of the tournament. The chapter ends with the Hogwarts students buzzing with excitement over the arrivals. With the foreign schools now present, the Triwizard Tournament is about to begin, and the question remains, who will be chosen as the champions? Key moments in the chapter include Hagrid making an effort to impress Madame Maxime by slicking back his hair and wearing a suspiciously large amount of cologne. The breathtaking arrival of Beauxbatons in their winged horse-drawn carriage, setting a graceful and elegant tone. The dramatic entrance of Durmstrang's ship emerging from the Black Lake, emphasizing their more warrior-like nature. The revelation that Viktor Krum, a world-famous Quidditch player, is a student at Durmstrang, shocking Ron and the others. The first interactions between the heads of the three schools, Dumbledore, Madame Maxime, and Igor Karkaroff, hinting at past histories and rivalries. Differences between the book and movie. In the movie, the Beauxbaton students are all female, and the Durmstrang students are all male. But in the book, both schools are co-ed. The movie adds more dramatic performances to the arrivals, with Beauxbatons twirling gracefully and Durmstrang performing a synchronized staff routine. The book emphasizes the contrast between the two schools' arrivals with more detail about their respective aesthetics and culture. Hagrid's humorous attempt to impress Madame Maxime is more prominent in the book, whereas the movie gives only a brief moment to it. The book includes more student reactions and build-up before the foreign schools arrive, making the anticipation feel even stronger. That wraps up Chapter 15, Beauxbatons and Durmstrang. The tournament is just around the corner, and tensions are building as we get closer to the selection of the champions. What did you think of the grand entrances of Beauxbaton and and Durmstrang? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our deep dive into Chapter 16, where the Goblet of Fire begins its selection process. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 16 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Goblet of Fire. This chapter marks a pivotal moment as the Triwizard Tournament is officially introduced, and students from Beauxbatons and Durmstrang eagerly put their names into the enchanted Goblet of Fire. However, a shocking twist awaits when the goblet makes an unexpected choice. The chapter begins with the arrival of students from Beauxbatons and Durmstrang, who are keen on competing in the Triwizard Tournament. The Beauxbatons students, led by Madame Maxime, arrive in a grand carriage pulled by winged horses, while the Durmstrang students, under the leadership of Professor Karkaroff, make a dramatic entrance in a ship that emerges from the depths of the Black Lake. Among the Durmstrang students is none other than Viktor Krum, the famous Bulgarian seeker, which causes a stir among the Hogwarts students. As the visitors settle in, excitement builds around the upcoming selection of champions. During dinner in the Great Hall, Dumbledore introduces the Goblet of Fire, a magical artifact that will choose one champion from each school. He explains that only students over the age of 17 can submit their names, as an age line will prevent younger students from entering. The champions will face dangerous tasks, and once selected, they are bound to the tournament by a magical contract. The next day, Fred and George Weasley attempt to bypass the age line by drinking an aging potion, but their plan backfires, leaving them with long white beards. Meanwhile, students eagerly submit their names, including Cedric Diggory from Hufflepuff. That evening, anticipation fills the Great Hall as the Goblet of Fire begins to select the champions. Amidst crackling blue flames, it chooses Viktor Krum for Durmstrang, Fleur Delacour for Beauxbaton, and Cedric Diggory for Hogwarts. Just as everyone believes the selection is complete, the goblet unexpectedly spits out a fourth name, Harry Potter. The chapter ends in shock and confusion, with Harry himself completely bewildered. The entire hall falls silent, and all eyes turn to him. The impossible has happened. Harry Potter, who never entered his name, has been chosen as a champion in the Triwizard Tournament. Key moments in the chapter include the arrival of Beauxbatons and Durmstrang at Hogwarts, the introduction of Madame Maxime and Igor Karkaroff, heads of their respective schools, Viktor Krum's presence at Hogwarts, causing excitement among the students, Dumbledore explaining the Goblet of Fire's rules and the age line barrier, Fred and George's failed attempt to bypass the age line, resulting in them growing beards, the tense selection of the Triwizard champions, Viktor Krum, Fleur Delacour, and Cedric Diggory, the shocking fourth name, Harry Potter, emerging from the Goblet of Fire, differences between the book and movie. In the movie, the arrival of Durmstrang and Beauxbatons is dramatized, with Durmstrang performing a staff-wielding display and Beauxbatons doing an elegant butterfly dance, neither of which happen in the book. The book emphasizes the tension between Dumbledore and Karkaroff, hinting at their past conflicts, whereas the movie focuses more on Karkaroff's favoritism toward Krum. The scene where Fred and George try to trick the age line is more comedic in the book, while the movie skips most of the details. In the book, Dumbledore asks Harry calmly if he put his name in the goblet, while the movie has him shouting aggressively, a moment that became a meme. That wraps up Chapter 16, The Goblet of Fire. This chapter is a turning point in the book, setting the stage for the thrilling tournament ahead. But how did Harry's name get in the goblet? And what does this mean for him? Share your theories in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for Chapter 17, where the chaos truly begins. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we're diving into Chapter 17 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Four Champions. This chapter is a turning point in the Triwizard Tournament as an unexpected event leaves everyone in shock. Let's explore the tension, disbelief, and intrigue that unfold in this crucial moment. The chapter begins in the Great Hall, where the selection of Triwizard champions is taking place. After Viktor Krum, Durmstrang, Fleur Delacour, Beauxbaton, and Cedric Diggory, Hogwarts, are chosen, the Goblet of Fire unexpectedly expels a fourth name, Harry Potter. The entire hall falls into stunned silence, and Harry himself is bewildered. He never entered his name, yet the enchanted goblet has chosen him as a competitor. Dumbledore, along with the other professors and judges, quickly escorts Harry to a back room, where the selected champions are gathered. Confusion and suspicion spread among the adults and students alike. Barty Crouch Sr., Ludo Bagman, Igor Karkaroff, and Madame Maxime discuss whether Harry's name being chosen is a mistake or a deliberate act. Dumbledore asks Harry how he put his name in, and Harry insists he never did. Snape, Karkaroff, and Madame Maxime suspect foul play, while Moody suggests that someone might have entered Harry's name under a different school to force the goblet to pick him. This theory raises concerns. If someone manipulated the powerful goblet, they must be very skilled and likely had sinister intentions. Despite the protests, Barty Crouch Sr. reminds everyone that the Triwizard contract is binding. Harry must compete. With this decision, Harry's fate is sealed, leaving him feeling overwhelmed and terrified. As he returns to the Gryffindor common room, he is met with mixed reactions. Ron, in particular, is upset, believing Harry entered the tournament for fame and fortune, but didn't tell him how. Their friendship suffers a rift as Ron goes to bed angry, leaving Harry feeling isolated in one of his most vulnerable moments. Key moments in the chapter include the shocking revelation that Harry's name has been drawn from the Goblet of Fire, the tense discussion among Dumbledore, the tournament judges, and the professors about how Harry's name got in, Moody's suggestion that someone may have put Harry's name in the goblet with ill intent, Barty Crouch Sr.'s ruling that, despite the circumstances, Harry must compete, the growing strain between Harry and Ron leading to their first major fallout, differences between the book and movie. In the movie, Dumbledore aggressively confronts Harry, grabbing him and asking, "Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?" In the book, Dumbledore remains calm and simply asks Harry how it happened. The film skips over much of the debate between the judges and does not show Moody's theory about how Harry's name could have been entered. The tension between Harry and Ron is explored more deeply in the book, showing Harry's growing frustration with his best friend's doubts. That wraps up Chapter 17, The Four Champions. What do you think? Who put Harry's name in the goblet and why? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 18, The Weighing of the Wands. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we're diving into Chapter 18 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Weighing of the Wands. This chapter takes us through the aftermath of Harry's unexpected selection as the fourth Triwizard champion. He struggles with the skepticism of his peers and the official wand-laying ceremony. Let's explore how Harry copes with the tension, the importance of the wand's examination, and a surprising encounter with journalist Rita Skeeter. Following the shocking events of the Goblet of Fire's selection, Harry is feeling the weight of his new unwanted status. The Gryffindor common room is no longer a safe haven, but Hermione remains unwaveringly supportive. Even Ron, his best friend, is distant in his mind, convinced that Harry somehow entered himself into the tournament. Harry is left feeling isolated, unable to make positive decisions. At breakfast, Hermione urges Harry to record the stairs and whispers, but he struggles to do so. Even Hagrid expresses his belief that Harry should be proud, unintentionally reinforcing the belief that Harry willingly entered the tournament. Meanwhile, Draco Malfoy seizes the opportunity to mock Harry, unveiling enchanted Potter stage badges, alternating between supporting Cedric Diggory and insulting Harry. A confrontation between Malfoy and Harry escalates, with Hermione getting involved, only for Draco to insult him with his usual blood-bloody slang. Before Harry can react, Moody intervenes in a shocking way. He transforms Malfoy into a ferret and proceeds to bounce him up and down, humiliating him in front of the students. Professor McGonagall swiftly steps in, horrified at Moody's actions, and forces him to return Draco to normal. After this eventful morning, Harry is summoned to participate in the weighing of the wand ceremony, a tradition to ensure that each Triwizard champion's wand is functioning at its best. In a private room, he meets the other champions, Cedric Diggory, Fleur Delacour, and Victor Crumb, alongside Mr. Oliver, the renowned wandler. The process begins as Ollivander meticulously inspects each wand, testing their magical capabilities and making small adjustments. Before the ceremony, Harry encounters Rita Skeeter, a notoriously evasive journalist from the Daily Prophet. She immediately seizes the opportunity to manipulate the situation, pulling Harry aside for an unauthorized meeting, using her quick quotes code, which fabricates exaggerated, misleading statements. She twists Harry's words to paint him as a tragic, heroic figure, heavily embellishing his background confirms that Harry's wand is in perfect working condition, though Ollivander seems slightly reflective now. With the wand successfully examined, the champions are dismissed, and the chapter closes with Harry dreading how Skeeter's article will portray him, knowing he has little control over the narrative she's crafting. Key moments in the chapter include Ron and Harry's conflict deepens. Ron's jealousy and belief that Harry secretly entered the tournament create a painful rift in their friendship. Draco's Potter stinks badges. Malfoy capitalizes on the situation, leading to yet another confrontation. Moody transfiguring Malfoy. One of the most memorable moments as the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher turns Malfoy into a bouncing ferret. Rita Skeeter's manipulative interview. Her quill distorts everything Harry says, foreshadowing future trouble. The weighing of the wand ceremony. Ollivander's detailed examination of each wand, particularly Harry's, reminds us of the connection between Harry and Voldemort. Book versus movie differences. The Potter stinks badges appear in the book but are not shown in the movie. Moody's ferret transformation of Malfoy happens in both, but in the book, McGonagall is angrier and reprimands Moody more harshly. Rita Skeeter's interview scene is more detailed in the book, emphasizing her manipulative nature. In the movie, her role is less prominent. The weighing of the wand ceremony is entirely omitted from the movie, though it serves as an important event in the book. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future chapters. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 19 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Hungarian Horntail. In this chapter, as the first task of the Triwizard Tournament looms closer, Harry's anxiety intensifies. He still has no idea what challenge awaits him, making the uncertainty even more terrifying. Rubeus Hagrid, who has always had a soft spot for dangerous creatures, unknowingly provides him with an answer. He invites Harry on a secret late-night excursion and insists he bring his invisibility cloak. As they walk toward the Forbidden Forest, Hagrid meets Madame Maxime, the headmistress of Beauxbatons Academy, and takes her to a dragon enclosure guarded by wizards. Hidden under the cloak, Harry watches in horror as he sees 4 enormous dragons, each restrained by dragon keepers. Hagrid is clearly trying to impress Madame Maxime, speaking fondly of the creatures while she feigns disinterest. However, for Harry, the reality of what he must face is sinking in. Each Triwizard champion will have to go up against one of these deadly beasts. Before leaving, he overhears Charlie Weasley and other wizards discussing how the dragons will be used for the first task, confirming his worst fears. Harry rushes back to the castle, panicking about how he could possibly survive such a challenge. He considers warning Cedric Diggory, the only champion who doesn't know about the dragons, and ultimately decides to do so the next day. Cedric is surprised and grateful, but their conversation is interrupted by Mad-Eye Moody, the new Defense Against the Dark Arts professor. Moody subtly hints that Harry should use his strengths to get through the task. When Harry admits that flying is his best skill, Moody suggests he use it to his advantage. Though the idea had not occurred to him, Harry realizes that he could summon his firebolt broomstick to evade the dragon's attacks. Determined to make this plan work, Harry enlists Hermione's help to master the summoning charm, Accio. Though it is a relatively advanced spell, Hermione encourages him to practice relentlessly. Over the next several hours, Harry struggles but gradually improves, managing to successfully summon objects. Hermione reassures him that he will be ready by the time of the first task. This chapter builds up the tension and fear surrounding the tournament. Unlike the previous events in the book, where the tournament seemed exciting, the reality of the danger becomes evident. Harry, despite his fear, demonstrates his integrity by warning Cedric about the dragons, showing that he values fairness. Moody's manipulation is also noticeable, though Harry does not realize it yet. By the end of the chapter, Harry has a plan, but the danger ahead is still overwhelming. The first task is about to begin, and his survival depends on his ability to summon his broomstick and outmaneuver the dragon. The stakes have never been higher. Key moments in the chapter. Hagrid and Madame Maxime's meeting. Hagrid invites Harry on a late-night stroll, revealing his romantic interest in Madame Maxime. The dragon reveal. Harry sees the 4 dragons meant for the tournament and overhears the organizers discussing the challenge. Panic sets in. Back at Hogwarts, Harry is overwhelmed with fear, knowing that he has to face a dragon in the first task. Mad-Eye Moody's advice. The former Auror hints that Harry should use what he's best at, leading him to consider flying as a possible solution. Hermione helps Harry prepare. She helps Harry master the Accio, summoning charm, which becomes crucial for the upcoming task. Book versus movie differences. In the movie, Cedric Diggory is shown being tipped off about the dragons by Mad-Eye Moody, whereas in the book, Hagrid inadvertently shows Harry. The book details Harry's growing anxiety and Hermione's role in helping him prepare, which is mostly omitted in the movie. The scene with Hagrid and Madame Maxime is much longer in the book, emphasizing their budding romance. Chapter 19 is a pivotal moment in Goblet of Fire, where the looming danger of the Triwizard Tournament becomes real for Harry. It highlights his resourcefulness, the importance of friendship, and the role of mentorship in overcoming fear. What do you think about the way Harry handled the situation? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for the thrilling first task. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 20 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The First Task. The long-awaited challenge has arrived, and Harry must put everything he's learned to the test against one of the most fearsome creatures in the Wizarding World, Dragon. The chapter begins with Harry's nerves at an all-time high. The morning of the first task is filled with dread, but there's no turning back now. At breakfast, Hermione tries to reassure him, while Ron still refuses to talk to him, making Harry's stress even worse. As he heads down to the arena, Ludo Bagman gives him a chance for an unfair advantage, offering help, but Harry refuses. In the champion's tent, the atmosphere is tense. Each champion must draw a miniature dragon from a small, enchanted bag, which will determine which species they will face. Harry's heart sinks as he pulls out the Hungarian horntail, the most dangerous of the four. One by one, the other champions go out to face their dragons, but Harry is too anxious to pay attention to their strategies. Then, it's his turn. The arena is filled with thousands of spectators, including students, teachers, and ministry officials. Harry steps out to face the massive Hungarian horntail, which is guarding a golden egg, his objective. The dragon snarls, its spiked tail lashing dangerously. Harry quickly summons his firebolt using the Accio charm, his wand movements precise and controlled. The broom soars into his hands, and he takes off, flying high above the arena, staying out of the dragon's reach. The horntail is vicious, snapping its jaws and spewing fire, but Harry keeps his cool under pressure. He executes a daring dive, dodging a jet of flames, and at the last second, he grabs the golden egg. The crowd erupts in thunderous applause. Harry has done it. As he lands, relief floods him, but not before he notices a long, painful gash on his shoulder where the dragon's tail grazed him. Madame Pomfrey quickly tends to him. Judges begin announcing the scores, and Harry is thrilled to receive high marks, tied for first place with Victor Crumb. The best part? Ron finally realizes how dangerous the tournament is and apologizes, ending their fight. Key moments in the chapter. Harry draws the Hungarian horntail, the deadliest dragon. Ludo Bagman offers help, but Harry refuses. Harry decides to use the summoning charm Accio to bring his firebolt. The first task begins, with each champion facing their dragon. Harry dodges fire and spikes in a high-speed aerial duel. He successfully grabs the golden egg, winning the task. The judges score Harry highly, tying him for first place with Victor Crumb. Ron apologizes, ending the conflict between him and Harry. Differences between the book and the movie. In book, Harry is the last champion to compete, adding suspense as he waits. But in movie, he is the first champion, making his challenge the opening action sequence. In book, the dragons are restrained and attack only when provoked. In movie, the Hungarian horntail breaks free, chasing Harry across Hogwarts, including the rooftops. In book, Harry relies on strategy, carefully dodging and making a planned dive for the egg. In movie, the scene is more dramatic, with Harry narrowly avoiding fatal blows and an intense crash landing. In book, Ron apologizes after the task in the Gryffindor common room. In movie, Ron and Hermione's reactions are shown during the task, emphasizing their concern. In book, Harry receives a cut from the dragon's tail, but is otherwise fine. In movie, he crashes onto a bridge, but doesn't get injured the same way. The chapter closes with a sense of victory. Harry has survived his first Triwizard challenge, but greater dangers still lie ahead. Stay tuned as we dive into what secrets lie within the golden egg. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. What would you have done if you were facing a dragon? Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we're diving into Chapter 21 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The House Elf Liberation Front. In this chapter, tensions rise between Ron and Hermione over her activism for house elves, while Harry struggles with the upcoming Triwizard Tournament task. This chapter also introduces us to more of Dobby's life at Hogwarts and provides insight into house elf servitude, setting up key elements for later in the series. As the Yule Ball approaches, Harry and Ron face the awkward reality of finding dates, and their inexperience leads to some comedic yet uncomfortable situations. Meanwhile, Hermione's enthusiasm for SPW, the Society for the Promotion of Elfish Welfare, leads to a surprising revelation about Winky's fate and Dobby's newfound freedom. The chapter opens in the Gryffindor common room, where Hermione is knitting hats and socks to free house elves by tricking them into taking clothes. Ron, as usual, is exasperated by her efforts, pointing out that the house elves like their servitude and that none of them have actually taken the clothing she hides around the common room. Hermione refuses to be discouraged and remains determined to help the elves gain independence. Meanwhile, Harry remains anxious about the upcoming first task of the Triwizard Tournament. He still has no clue what the task entails and is growing increasingly nervous. His worries are interrupted by an encounter with Dobby, who now works at Hogwarts after being freed from the Malfoys. Unlike other house elves, Dobby enjoys his freedom, though his excitement contrasts sharply with Winky's distress. Dobby tells Harry about his life at Hogwarts, revealing that he is being paid 1 galleon a week and gets 1 day off per month, both of which were fiercely negotiated, as Dobby had initially demanded full wages and weekends off, which Dumbledore had to talk him down from. In contrast, Winky, previously Mr. Crouch's house elf, is miserable. She refuses to accept her freedom and continues to sob about having disgraced her old master, despite now working in Hogwarts kitchens. Curious about the house elves' working conditions, Hermione, Ron, and Harry follow Dobby to the Hogwarts kitchens. They discover that dozens of house elves happily work there, serving meals and maintaining the castle. Hermione is horrified to see that the elves enjoy their work and insists they do not want to be freed. Winky, in particular, is devastated. She is unkempt and miserable, sitting by the kitchen fire and drinking butterbeer, which, while not strong for humans, seems to make her quite drunk. She cries about how she has failed Mr. Crouch and insists he was a great wizard. Dobby, on the other hand, is cheerful and grateful for his freedom. He tells Harry that he enjoys working at Hogwarts, despite the other elves looking down on him for accepting wages. His loyalty to Harry remains strong, and he proudly wears mismatched clothes as a sign of his independence. As the visit to the kitchens ends, the trio leaves with a clearer understanding of house elf culture. Hermione, despite witnessing their contentment, remains adamant that their servitude is wrong and continues to push for their rights. Ron remains unimpressed, while Harry remains more focused on the looming Triwizard task. Key moments in the chapter include Hermione's continued efforts with SPW. She knits hats and socks for the elves, believing she is secretly freeing them. Dobby's new life at Hogwarts. Unlike other elves, he embraces his freedom and enjoys his independence. Winky's despair. She struggles with her forced freedom and continues to lament over her lost position with Mr. Crouch. Hogwarts kitchens reveal. The trio witnesses firsthand how house elves work and interact, with most being happy to serve. The Yule Ball subplot begins. Though not the main focus, Harry and Ron's anxiety about finding dates starts to emerge. Book versus movie differences. This chapter does not appear in the Goblet of Fire movie. The entire subplot involving SPW, Winky, and the house elves at Hogwarts is omitted. Dobby's presence is also significantly reduced in the film, meaning his storyline about working at Hogwarts is never shown. Instead, Dobby's role in the book is often reassigned to Neville in the movie adaptation. That wraps up Chapter 21, the House Elf Liberation Front. This chapter deepens the discussion on house elf rights, introduces Dobby's new role, and hints at bigger mysteries involving Mr. Crouch and Winky's connection to him. What do you think about Hermione's activism? Should house elves be freed, or are they truly happy serving? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 22. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we're diving into Chapter 22 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Unexpected Task. This chapter brings a shift in focus from magical duels and house elf rights to something even more nerve-wracking, asking someone to the Yule Ball. As the Hogwarts students prepare for the highly anticipated event, Harry and Ron realize they are woefully unprepared when it comes to finding dates. With the ball just around the corner, the two scramble to invite someone into awkward and humorous situations. Meanwhile, Hermione has her own plans, which leave Ron particularly stunned. This chapter adds a fun, lighthearted break in the story while also developing relationships between the characters, setting the stage for conflicts, surprises, and a bit of heartbreak. The chapter begins with Professor McGonagall making an announcement She explains that the Yule Ball, held as part of the Triwizard Tournament's traditions, and that students in fourth year above are allowed to attend. However, she also reminds Harry that as a Triwizard champion, he is required to open the gates of the party. This news leaves Harry in a state of panic. Not only does he have to attend the ball, but he has to lead it. As the ball approaches, the pressure to find a date intensifies. Harry, who has developed a growing crush on Cho Chang, gathers the courage to ask her. Unfortunately, his attempt is awkward and closed on as he catches Cho off guard and she regretfully declines, explaining that she's already going with Cedric Diggory. Heartbroken and embarrassed, Harry is forced to reconsider his options. Meanwhile, Ron becomes obsessed with the idea of asking Fleur Delacour, the stunning Beauxbatons champion. Despite his complete lack of confidence, he convinces himself to approach her. However, the moment he does, his nerves completely take over. He barely manages to get words out before Fleur dismisses him without much thought. The rejection is swift and brutal, leaving Ron humiliated. After their failed attempts, Harry and Ron, growing desperate, finally decide to ask the Patilians. Ravati Patil agrees to go with Harry, and when she mentions that her sister Padma needs a date, Ron reluctantly agrees to take her. It's clear that Ron is far from thrilled, still sulking over Hermione's vague hints that she might already know. The biggest surprise of the chapter comes when Ron, still upset, asks Hermione who she's going with. When she refuses to say, Ron assumes she's lying, until she finally snaps, revealing that she already has a date. Ron refuses to believe her. Hermione leaves him, really pleased to have her. As the chapter closes, Harry and Ron head to bed, still feeling frustrated, confused, and slightly annoyed. The Yule Ball is fast approaching, and while they both have dates, neither feels entirely happy with how things have played out. Key moments in the chapter: Professor McGonagall announcing the Yule Ball and informing Harry he must open the dates. Harry nervously asking Cho Chang to the ball and being rejected as she is already going with Cedric Diggory. Ron's embarrassing attempt to ask Fleur Delacour, which results in complete disaster. The duo's desperation leading them to asking the Patil twins, securing last-minute dates. Hermione's shocking reveal that she already has a date, leaving Ron stunned. Book versus movie differences. In the Goblet of Fire movie, this chapter is heavily condensed. The scene where Harry awkwardly asks Cho's present, but many details, such as Ron's disastrous attempt with Fleur, are skipped or altered. The movie makes Hermione's reveal much more dramatic during the actual Yule Ball, whereas in the book, her date's identity remains a mystery until the event itself. Ron's growing frustration about Krum taking Hermione is much clearer in the book, helping develop the tension between them, leading into the Yule Ball. That wraps up Chapter 22, The Unexpected Task. This chapter offers a humorous and awkward look at teenage romance in the wizarding world, while also hinting at deeper emotional conflicts, especially between Hermione and Ron. Who was your favorite character in this chapter? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the upcoming Yule Ball drama in Chapter 23. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 23 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Yule Ball. This chapter takes us into one of the most anticipated events at Hogwarts, the magical and elegant Yule Ball. What starts as an exciting social event quickly turns into a night of awkward teenage emotions, jealousy, and tension. Let's explore the highlights, key moments, and drama of this unforgettable evening. As Christmas approaches, excitement for the Yule Ball fills the school. Students are busy preparing, with Hogwarts transformed into a winter wonderland. Harry, who had been dreading the task of finding a date, finally asks Cho Chang, but she regretfully declines as she is already going with Cedric Diggory. Disappointed, Harry hastily invites Parvati Patil, who agrees. Meanwhile, Ron struggles to find a partner and ends up reluctantly asking Fleur Delacour, only to be rejected. In desperation, he and Harry persuade Parvati's twin, Padma, to accompany Ron. The night of the ball arrives, and the Great Hall is breathtakingly decorated. The Triwizard champions lead the opening dance, with Harry paired with Parvati, Cedric with Cho, Fleur with Roger Davies, and Krum with Hermione, much to Ron's shock. It turns out that Hermione, instead of being dateless as Ron assumed, is Krum's date, and she looks stunning. Throughout the evening, Harry feels miserable as he watches Cho with Cedric, and Ron's mood turns sour with jealousy over Hermione's choice to attend with Krum. His behavior leads to an argument with Hermione, where she angrily tells Ron that he should have asked her first instead of treating her like a last resort. She storms off, visibly upset. Aside from the teenage drama, an important conversation takes place between Hagrid and Madame Maxime, where Hagrid hints that he is half-giant. Maxime is deeply offended and denies any such heritage. Meanwhile, Harry overhears a conversation between Ludo Bagman and the Weasley twins about a bet, and another between Snape and Karkaroff, where Karkaroff seems nervous about something darkening on his arm, hinting at the return of Voldemort. The chapter ends with Harry and Ron retreating to their dormitory, Ron still brooding over Hermione and Krum, while Harry is left feeling emotionally drained from the night's events. Key moments in the chapter include Harry's struggle to find a date and his disappointment when Cho is already going with Cedric, Hermione's grand entrance with Victor Krum, surprising everyone, especially Ron, Ron's jealousy and argument with Hermione, where she calls him out for not treating her as a real option, Hagrid revealing his half-giant heritage to Madame Maxime, which she denies, causing tension between them, Harry overhearing Karkaroff's worries about something dark appearing on his arm, hinting at the rise of Voldemort, the Weasley twins' mysterious dealings with Ludo Bagman, suggesting something deeper in the plot. Book versus movie differences. In the book, the Yule Ball features more side conversations, including Snape punishing students and the Weasley twins' interactions with Ludo Bagman. Hermione's fight with Ron is much more intense in the book, emphasizing how hurt she is by his attitude. Hagrid's revelation about being a half-giant is a significant moment in the book, whereas in the movie, this conversation is cut down. Harry and Ron's struggles to find dates are more detailed in the book, making their last-minute decisions feel more desperate. That wraps up Chapter 23, The Yule Ball. This chapter beautifully balances the excitement of the ball with deeper tensions, foreshadowing key events to come. What did you think of Hermione and Ron's fight? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for Chapter 24. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 24 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Rita Skeeter's Scoop. This chapter reveals shocking details about Hagrid's heritage, exposes Rita Skeeter's unethical journalism, and deepens the tension surrounding the Triwizard Tournament. Let's explore the crucial moments, character developments, and key revelations in this chapter, which begins with Harry, Ron, and Hermione excited about Hogsmeade Weekend, but their anticipation is overshadowed by the latest scandal from the Daily Prophet. Rita Skeeter has written a damning article about Hagrid's half-giant heritage, turning the wizarding world against him. The article reveals that Hagrid's mother was the infamous giantess Fridwulfa, portraying Hagrid as a dangerous and untrustworthy individual. The revelation devastates Hagrid, causing him to withdraw from his duties and refuse to leave his hut. Despite Hagrid's absence, lessons continue as usual. Professor Grubbly Plank takes over care of magical creatures, impressing the class with her structured and informative approach. Draco Malfoy, as expected, takes full advantage of the scandal, mocking Hagrid and using it as another opportunity to undermine him. Determined to help Hagrid, Harry, Ron, and Hermione visit his hut, only to find him deeply shaken. His self-doubt and shame are evident, but Dumbledore arrives, offering his unwavering support. He reassures Hagrid that he has always valued him, regardless of his lineage, and encourages him to return to teaching. This moment is one of profound importance, highlighting Dumbledore's wisdom and compassion while reinforcing the theme of acceptance over prejudice. Meanwhile, Hermione grows increasingly frustrated with Rita Skeeter's invasive journalism. She notices an odd pattern. Skeeter seems to obtain private information even when no one has seen her nearby. This raises suspicions about her methods, leading Hermione to begin investigating how Rita gathers her scoops. The chapter ends with tensions still high, but with a renewed sense of resolve among Harry and his friends. Hagrid's return to teaching marks a small victory against prejudice, while Hermione's growing determination hints that Skeeter's reign of unethical journalism might soon come to an end. Key moments in the chapter include Rita Skeeter's damaging article. The wizarding world turns against Hagrid after Skeeter exposes his half-giant heritage. Hagrid's emotional collapse. He isolates himself, believing he is unfit to teach. Dumbledore's support. Dumbledore reassures Hagrid that he belongs at Hogwarts and encourages him to continue teaching. Malfoy's mockery. Draco seizes the opportunity to humiliate Hagrid, adding to his distress. Hermione's suspicions. She begins investigating how Rita Skeeter gathers private information. Book versus movie differences. This chapter does not appear in the Goblet of Fire movie. Hagrid's half-giant revelation is glossed over, and Rita Skeeter's article does not play a major role in the film. Additionally, Hermione's investigation into Skeeter's methods is entirely absent from the movie, removing a key subplot. The exclusion of these elements diminishes the exploration of prejudice in the wizarding world and the importance of ethical journalism. That wraps up Chapter 24, Rita Skeeter's Scoop. This chapter shines a light on prejudice, the power of journalism, and the unwavering support of true friends. What did you think about Rita Skeeter's tactics? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for Chapter 25 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we're diving into Chapter 25 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Egg and the Eye. This chapter is packed with suspense, mystery, and a major revelation about Barty Crouch's strange behavior. Let's break down the key moments, secrets, and thrilling discoveries. The chapter begins with Harry finally deciding to solve the mystery of the golden egg, which he won during the first Triwizard task. Taking Cedric Diggory's advice, he heads to the prefect's bathroom late at night, bringing along his invisibility cloak and the Marauder's map. Inside the luxurious candlelit bathroom, Harry submerges the golden egg in the tub's water and listens closely. Instead of the painful screeching from before, the egg now sings a mysterious mermaid song, hinting that the next task will take place underwater. The lyrics suggest that he will have to retrieve something precious from the merpeople at the bottom of the Black Lake. While reflecting on this clue, Harry is startled by moaning Myrtle, who playfully flirts with him and offers cryptic hints about the challenge. Their interaction is humorous yet eerie, with Myrtle clearly enjoying her ability to fluster him. After leaving the bathroom, Harry suddenly spots Bartemius Crouch's name on the Marauder's map, wandering around Snape's office, despite the fact that Mr. Crouch is supposed to be sick at home. Shocked and curious, Harry investigates but accidentally gets stuck in a trick staircase, dropping the golden egg, which clatters loudly. At that very moment, Filch appears, believing Peeves is causing trouble. To make matters worse, Snape and Mad-Eye Moody soon arrive, adding to the tension. Harry, still invisible, watches as Snape accuses someone of breaking into his office, growing suspicious of Moody. The scene escalates when Moody uses his magical eye to detect Harry under the cloak, though he cleverly covers for him. Harry manages to escape, but is left rattled by the mention of Crouch's name, deepening the mystery. The chapter ends on a suspenseful note, reinforcing that Barty Crouch's actions are more than just unusual. There's something deeply unsettling at play. Key moments in the chapter include Harry solves the egg's riddle in the prefect's bathroom. Moaning Myrtle offers hints about the second task. Harry sees Barty Crouch's name on the Marauders map, raising major suspicions. Harry gets caught in a trick staircase, dropping the golden egg. Snape, Filch, and Moody arrive, creating a tense confrontation. Moody's magical eye spots Harry, but he helps cover for him. Book versus movie differences. The Marauders map scene with Barty Crouch Sr. is not included in the movie, removing a crucial hint about his fate. Moody helping Harry escape from Snape and Filch is cut, skipping an important moment of their growing trust. Harry's realization about the egg's riddle happens differently in the movie, skipping much of the bathroom scene's detail and Moaning Myrtle's playful teasing. The book's version builds much more suspense and mystery, especially around Barty Crouch's actions. That wraps up Chapter 25, The Egg in the Eye. This chapter is filled with clues, close calls, and major foreshadowing. What do you think Barty Crouch was doing in Snape's office? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for Chapter 26 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we're diving into Chapter 26 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Second Task. In this thrilling chapter, the Triwizard Tournament continues, and Harry must face the mysterious and dangerous challenge beneath the Black Lake. With time running out and the pressure mounting, he struggles to find a way to complete the task. This chapter delivers intense action, deep friendships, and a display of true bravery. Let's explore every magical detail. As the chapter begins, Harry is in a state of panic. The second task is only hours away, and he still hasn't figured out how to breathe underwater for an entire hour. The previous night, he had stayed up late in the library, desperately searching for a solution, but to no avail. Just as he begins to lose hope, Dobby the house elf appears with an unexpected gift, Gillyweed. Dobby explains that he overheard Professor Moody discussing it, and he believes it will help Harry breathe underwater. With no time to lose, Harry rushes to the lake, where the second task is about to begin. Ludo Bagman gives the signal, and the champions dive in. As soon as Harry eats the gillyweed, he undergoes an incredible transformation. His fingers and toes become webbed, and gills sprout on his neck, allowing him to breathe underwater. Swimming deeper into the murky depths of the Black Lake, Harry encounters eerie creatures such as Grindylows and the mysterious merpeople who guard the hostages. The captives, Ron, Hermione, Cho Chang, and Fleur Delacour's younger sister, Gabrielle, are bound to an underwater statue. The task's objective is now clear. Each champion must rescue their designated person within the hour. Cedric Diggory arrives first, using a bubblehead charm to breathe, and successfully frees Cho Chang. Shortly after, Victor Krum arrives in a half-transfigured shark form and rescues Hermione. Fleur, however, does not appear, leaving Gabrielle Delacour still trapped. Despite not knowing if the hostages will be in real danger when time runs out, Harry refuses to leave Gabrielle behind. He uses a sharp rock to free both Ron and Gabrielle, dragging them to the surface just as his gillyweed transformation begins to wear off. Upon resurfacing, he learns that the hostages were never actually in danger, but his decision to save more than his intended hostage earns him extra points for moral fiber. Cedric wins first place, and although Harry finishes behind him, his bravery and selflessness are recognized. The Merpeople's chief, the Merch of Tanis, confirms his actions, and Dumbledore praises his determination. The chapter ends with Harry relieved that the task is over, yet still puzzled by the cryptic warning from the golden egg. A treasure once was yours to claim, but time will not wait for thee. Key moments in the chapter include Harry panicking the morning of the task due to not having a solution, Dobby giving Harry gillyweed, which allows him to breathe underwater, Harry's transformation into a water-breathing form with webbed fingers and gills, the eerie underwater environment of the Black Lake, featuring Grindylows and Merpeople, the four hostages tied underwater, Ron, Hermione, Cho Chang, and Gabrielle Delacour, Cedric using the bubblehead charm, and Victor Krum appearing in a half-shark form, Fleur failing to reach Gabrielle, leaving her at risk, Harry's selfless decision to save Gabrielle alongside Ron, earning extra points, Dumbledore and the judges rewarding Harry for his moral fiber. Book versus movie differences. In the book, it is Dobby who gives Harry the gillyweed, while in the movie, Neville Longbottom provides it instead. The movie does not show the full interactions with the merpeople, making their hostility in the book feel more intense. Fleur's failure to rescue Gabrielle is more emphasized in the book, while the movie focuses more on action. The book includes more inner thoughts from Harry, highlighting his hesitation and moral dilemma about leaving Gabrielle behind. That wraps up Chapter 26, the second task. This chapter showcases Harry's bravery, the depth of his friendships, and the magical creatures of the Black Lake. What was your favorite moment from this chapter? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 27. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we're diving into Chapter 27 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Padfoot Returns. This chapter shifts the focus away from the Triwizard Tournament and onto the mysteries surrounding Barty Crouch Sr., the growing danger of Voldemort, and an urgent meeting with Sirius Black. Let's explore every intriguing detail. After the second task, Harry, Ron, and Hermione take some time to relax, but the mysterious disappearance of Barty Crouch Sr. soon captures their attention. Percy Weasley, who idolizes Mr. Crouch, insists that his boss is simply ill, but Hermione isn't convinced. She notices that Crouch's recent letters to Percy seem unusual. Meanwhile, Harry writes to Sirius Black about the strange events surrounding Crouch, and soon after, he receives a message instructing him to meet in Hogsmeade at the cave where Sirius is hiding. Ron and Hermione accompany Harry to the meeting, sneaking out of Hogwarts unnoticed. Inside the cave, Sirius, in his animagus form, Padfoot, welcomes them and transforms back into his human self. Looking gaunt and scruffy, he eagerly listens to Harry's account of the Triwizard Tournament and the strange events involving Barty Crouch Sr. Sirius warns that Crouch was once known as a ruthless enforcer of justice, sending many people, including his own son, Barty Crouch Jr., to Azkaban without a trial. Sirius shares key background details about the First Wizarding War. Barty Crouch Sr. was once a leading candidate for Minister of Magic, but his harsh policies made him unpopular. His son, Barty Crouch Jr., was accused of being a Death Eater and was sentenced to Azkaban. After the scandal, Crouch Sr. fell out of favor and was reassigned to an insignificant position at the Ministry. As Sirius talks, Harry realizes the links between Crouch's disappearance, the Triwizard Tournament, and the growing rumors about Voldemort's return. The conversation takes a dark turn when Sirius emphasizes that there are Death Eaters still operating within the Ministry, and someone inside Hogwarts may be helping them. Before they leave, Sirius warns them to be cautious, emphasizing that Voldemort is growing stronger and that they should watch out for anything unusual. Key moments in the chapter include Harry, Ron, and Hermione meeting Sirius in Hogsmeade, Sirius revealing dark secrets about Barty Crouch Sr. and his son, the truth about Crouch's fall from power due to his son's imprisonment, Sirius warning that Death Eaters are still active and may have infiltrated Hogwarts, the group realizing that Barty Crouch Sr.'s disappearance is deeply suspicious, book versus movie differences. This entire chapter is missing from the movie. The film never explores Barty Crouch Sr.'s full backstory, nor does it show Harry and his friends meeting Sirius in Hogsmeade. The book provides a deeper political context, showing how Crouch Sr.'s downfall shaped the current situation. Sirius's concern about active Death Eaters is not emphasized in the film, whereas in the book, he strongly warns them to stay alert. That wraps up Chapter 27, Padfoot Returns. This chapter delivers crucial information about the past, Barty Crouch Sr.'s secrets, and Voldemort's growing influence. What do you think about Barty Crouch Sr.'s harsh methods? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 28. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 28 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Madness of Mr. Crouch. This chapter takes us through a mysterious and eerie encounter in the Forbidden Forest that raises many questions about the Triwizard Tournament, Barty Crouch Sr.'s strange behavior, and the looming danger ahead. Let's explore the chilling details and key revelations in this pivotal chapter. With the third task approaching, Harry and Victor Krum take a walk into the Forbidden Forest, where they unexpectedly stumble upon Mr. Crouch, disheveled, frantic, and seemingly deranged. Babbling about Voldemort, his son, and the dangers surrounding the tournament, Crouch's cryptic words suggest he knows something of great importance. But before Harry can take action, Crouch mysteriously vanishes. Dumbledore is informed, but by the time they return, Crouch is gone. This chapter deepens the mystery surrounding the Triwizard Tournament and foreshadows the dark twists ahead. Key moments in the chapter include Harry's training for the third task. With the final challenge approaching, Harry focuses on preparing for the enchanted maze, practicing spells like the shield charm. Victor Krum's invitation. Krum invites Harry for a private talk, hinting at his growing feelings for Hermione and his curiosity about her relationship with Harry. The unsettling encounter with Mr. Crouch. Crouch appears in the Forbidden Forest in a disoriented, desperate state, rambling about Voldemort, his imprisoned son, and urgent matters involving Dumbledore. Krum is stunned. Crouch disappears. Before Harry can get help, Crouch disappears, leaving behind more questions than answers. The suspicious behavior of Snape and Karkaroff. Karkaroff is nervous about something on his arm, hinting at the Dark Mark's return, while Snape dismisses his concerns. Book versus movie differences. This chapter was completely omitted in the movie. In the film adaptation, Barty Crouch Sr.'s storyline is significantly condensed, and his eerie encounter with Harry and Krum in the Forbidden Forest never happens. This omission removes much of the suspense surrounding his disappearance and the clues leading to the truth about Barty Crouch Jr. That wraps up Chapter 28, The Madness of Mr. Crouch. This eerie chapter gives us major hints about the larger conspiracy unfolding behind the Triwizard Tournament. What do you think happened to Barty Crouch Sr.? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 29, The Dream. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 29 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Dream. This chapter takes us deeper into the mysteries surrounding Barty Crouch, the growing tension in the wizarding world, and a haunting vision that shakes Harry to his core. Let's explore how this chapter unfolds. The chapter begins with the aftermath of the tense encounter between Harry, Ron, and Hermione with Victor Krum and the strange behavior of Barty Crouch Sr. in the Forbidden Forest. After Crouch's erratic appearance, he vanishes mysteriously, leaving everyone puzzled. Karkaroff is growing increasingly paranoid, confiding in Snape about a mysterious mark on his arm, something that will become more significant later. Meanwhile, Harry, still preparing for the third task of the Triwizard Tournament, experiences another vivid and disturbing dream inside divination class. In this dream, he sees Voldemort speaking with Wormtail, Peter Pettigrew, and punishing him for a mistake. A large snake, likely Nagini, is also present. Voldemort speaks of a faithful servant who is about to return, setting the stage for what's to come. Harry wakes up in excruciating pain from his scar, a clear sign that Voldemort is nearby or growing in power. Frightened and confused, he rushes to Dumbledore's office, where he stumbles upon a fascinating scene. Dumbledore and Cornelius Fudge arguing about the events at Hogwarts, with Sirius Black's name also mentioned. Before he can hear more, Harry is admitted into Dumbledore's office, setting up the next crucial moments of the story. Key moments in the chapter include Barty Crouch Sr. appears and then mysteriously disappears in the Forbidden Forest. His erratic behavior hints at something sinister behind the scenes. Karkaroff's paranoia about the Dark Mark. He reveals to Snape that the mark on his arm is growing darker, a clear sign that Voldemort's return is imminent. Harry's vision in divination class. He sees Voldemort discussing plans with Wormtail, punishing him, and mentioning a loyal follower. Harry's scar burning intensely, reinforcing the idea that his connection to Voldemort is growing stronger. Harry rushing to tell Dumbledore what he saw, leading him to overhear a tense conversation about Sirius Black, Barty Crouch, and Fudge's refusal to believe in Voldemort's return. Book versus movie differences. This chapter is completely omitted from the movie. The films do not show Harry's dream in divination class, nor do they include the details about Karkaroff's fear of the Dark Mark reappearing. The argument between Dumbledore and Fudge is not shown at this point in the movie, whereas in the book, this conversation hints at Fudge's unwillingness to accept Voldemort's return. Barty Crouch Sr.'s disappearance in the Forbidden Forest is significantly downplayed in the movie, whereas in the book, it is a key mystery leading up to the final revelations. That wraps up Chapter 29, The Dream. This chapter deepens the mystery surrounding Barty Crouch Sr., gives us chilling hints about Voldemort's return, and further develops Harry's connection to the Dark Lord through his visions. What do you think Voldemort meant when he spoke of his faithful servant? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our breakdown of Chapter 30, The Pensive, where Harry uncovers shocking secrets about the past. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 30 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Pensive. In this chapter, Harry uncovers shocking secrets about Barty Crouch, Death Eaters, and a past trial that reveals crucial connections to Voldemort's return. Let's unravel the mysteries hidden in Dumbledore's office. The chapter begins with Harry rushing to Dumbledore's office, eager to share the terrifying vision he had of Voldemort. However, before he can, he finds Dumbledore absent. While waiting, his curiosity leads him to a strange, shimmering object, the pensive, a magical basin containing swirling silver memories. Unable to resist, Harry leans in and is suddenly pulled into the past. Inside the pensive, Harry witnesses a series of intense courtroom trials held by the Wizengamot. The first trial shows Igor Karkaroff betraying fellow Death Eaters in exchange for his freedom, revealing names such as Rookwood, Mulciber, and Travers. However, when he tries to implicate Snape, Dumbledore defends him, stating Snape is a reformed spy. The second memory reveals Ludo Bagman being accused of passing information to Voldemort's followers, though his charm and ignorance lead to an acquittal. The final and most shocking trial involves Barty Crouch Jr., the son of the strict ministry official Barty Crouch Sr. He is accused, alongside Bellatrix Lestrange, of torturing the Aurors Frank and Alice Longbottom into insanity with the Cruciatus Curse. Crouch Sr. coldly sentences his own son to Azkaban, despite Barty Jr.'s desperate pleas. The vision ends abruptly as Dumbledore pulls Harry out of the pensive, explaining its purpose. Harry is left stunned by what he has seen, realizing that Neville's parents were tortured by Death Eaters and that Voldemort's followers are still very much in play. Key moments in the chapter include Harry finds the pensive in Dumbledore's office and accidentally falls into its memories. Igor Karkaroff's trial, where he names other Death Eaters to avoid Azkaban. Ludo Bagman's trial, revealing his questionable connections to the Dark Lord's followers. Barty Crouch Jr.'s trial, where he and Bellatrix Lestrange are convicted for torturing the Longbottoms. Dumbledore explains the pensive, offering Harry deeper insight into how memories work and hinting at the importance of the past. Book versus movie differences. The movie condenses this chapter significantly. Harry does fall into the pensive, but instead of multiple trials, he only sees one trial featuring Barty Crouch Jr. Igor Karkaroff's full testimony and the names of other Death Eaters are cut from the film. The Longbottom's torture is implied rather than fully explained in the movie, whereas the book gives a more detailed and harrowing account. The concept of the pensive is explained better in the book, giving more background on how Dumbledore uses it. That wraps up Chapter 30, The Pensive. This chapter reveals huge secrets about the past and how Voldemort's followers remained active even after his fall. What do you think about Barty Crouch Jr.'s trial? Was his punishment justified? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our breakdown of Chapter 31, The Third Task. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 31 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Third Task. This chapter takes us through the thrilling and dangerous final challenge of the Triwizard Tournament, where Harry faces a maze filled with magical creatures and enchanted obstacles. Let's explore the excitement, suspense, and alliances that shape this pivotal chapter, which begins with Harry preparing for the third task of the Triwizard Tournament. Under Moody's guidance, he learns useful spells like the Stunning Spell and the Impediment Jinx. With the task approaching, he feels nervous, but is comforted by his friends, Ron and Hermione. The night before the event, Harry receives an unexpected boost when Mrs. Weasley and Bill arrive to support him, making him feel as if he has family present. This heartfelt moment eases some of his worries. On the day of the task, the champions, Harry, Cedric, Victor, and Fleur, are led to the Quidditch pitch, now transformed into a giant maze. They must navigate through it to reach the Triwizard Cup at the center. The champions enter the maze in the order of their scores. Cedric and Harry go first, followed by Victor and Fleur. Inside the maze, Harry faces a series of challenges. He overcomes enchanted obstacles, including a blast-ended Scroot, a boggart disguised as a Dementor, and bewitched vines. He hears Fleur scream and realizes something is wrong but cannot find her. As Harry navigates the maze, he encounters Victor Krum attacking Cedric under the Imperious Curse. After saving Cedric, they proceed separately, agreeing to help each other if needed. Harry faces more challenges, including a gigantic spider, which injures him but is ultimately defeated with Cedric's help. In a moment of sportsmanship and respect, Harry and Cedric decide to take the cup together, as they both believe the other deserves it just as much. They grab the cup simultaneously, unaware that it is a portkey. The chapter ends on a cliffhanger, as Harry and Cedric are transported to an unknown place, leaving readers on the edge of their seats. Key moments in the chapter include Harry's preparation. Guided by Moody, Harry practices spells crucial for the task, showcasing his growing confidence and magical skill. Support from the Weasleys. Mrs. Weasley and Bill's presence highlights the importance of family and emotional support for Harry. Entering the maze. The transformation of the Quidditch pitch into a dark, eerie maze builds tension and sets the stage for the challenge. The obstacles. Harry confronts various magical threats, showcasing his bravery, quick thinking, and the effectiveness of his training. Krum's attack. The revelation that Krum is under the Imperious Curse adds mystery and foreshadows darker events. Harry and Cedric's alliance. Their mutual respect and decision to share victory highlight their integrity and friendship. The Triwizard Cup as a portkey. The shocking twist of the cup being a portkey propels the story into its dramatic climax. Book versus movie differences. In the book, the maze is filled with magical creatures and enchantments, whereas the movie simplifies the task by depicting the maze itself as the main threat, with its shifting walls and disorienting nature. The movie omits several key challenges Harry faces, such as the blast-ended Scroot and the boggart, making the sequence less detailed. The moment when Harry and Cedric decide to take the cup together is portrayed more emotionally in the book, emphasizing their bond and sportsmanship. That wraps up Chapter 31, The Third Task. This chapter masterfully builds suspense while highlighting themes of bravery, friendship, and moral integrity. What was your favorite moment from the maze? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we uncover the shocking events that follow this thrilling chapter. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 32 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Flesh, Blood, and Bone. This chapter is a turning point in the series, filled with dark magic, shocking revelations, and the return of one of the most feared wizards of all time. Let's explore the intense events that unfold as Harry faces unimaginable danger. The chapter begins with Harry and Cedric Diggory being transported by the Triwizard Cup, which turns out to be a portkey, to a dark and eerie graveyard. Disoriented and confused, they try to make sense of their surroundings when they see a figure approaching. It's Wormtail, Peter Pettigrew, carrying a small, helpless bundle. Suddenly, a cold voice commands Wormtail to kill the spare, and before Harry can react, a flash of green light ends Cedric's life. Paralyzed by shock and grief, Harry is dragged to a marble headstone that reads Tom Riddle. Wormtail binds him and begins a dark, sinister ritual. Using the bones of Voldemort's father, his own flesh cut from his hand, and Harry's blood forcibly taken from his arm, Wormtail completes the incantation. There is a burst of blinding light, and from the cauldron emerges Lord Voldemort, fully restored to his physical form. Now standing before Harry in the flesh, Voldemort examines his new body and summons his Death Eaters. They apparate into the graveyard, cloaked and masked, trembling before their master's gaze. Voldemort confronts them, questioning their loyalty during his absence and punishing Wormtail despite his obedience, giving him a silver hand to replace the one sacrificed. Voldemort reveals how his survival was tied to Harry's blood and his mother's protective charm. With a terrifying presence and commanding power, he prepares to face Harry. The chapter ends on a chilling note as Harry realizes he must face the Dark Lord alone with no hope of escape. Key moments in the chapter include the shocking death of Cedric Diggory, showing the brutal and unforgiving nature of Voldemort, the dark and ritualistic rebirth of Lord Voldemort using ancient magic and blood sacrifice, Voldemort's confrontation with his followers, revealing the complex power dynamics among the Death Eaters, the revelation of how Voldemort circumvented Lily Potter's protective magic using Harry's blood, the intense atmosphere of fear and helplessness as Harry faces the fully restored Voldemort. Book versus movie differences. In the movie adaptation, Cedric's death and Voldemort's rebirth are shown, but the detailed ritual and Voldemort's interaction with the Death Eaters are more condensed. The film omits some of the dialogue, where Voldemort taunts his followers and delves into his backstory, which is more thoroughly explored in the book. That wraps up Chapter 32, Flesh, Blood, and Bone. This chapter is pivotal, marking the return of Lord Voldemort and setting the stage for the dark battles to come. Let us know your thoughts on Voldemort's terrifying rebirth and Cedric's tragic fate in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 33. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 33 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Death Eaters. This chapter takes us through the eerie events following Voldemort's return. With Harry trapped and Cedric dead, Voldemort calls upon his followers and berates them for their past failures. Let's explore the chilling details of this pivotal chapter. After using Harry's blood in a dark ritual, Voldemort has fully regained his body. Now standing before Harry in the graveyard, he coldly acknowledges the boy and touches his forehead, confirming that his ability to feel pain from Voldemort is still intact. With his new body and confidence, Voldemort calls his followers, his Death Eaters, who apparat into the graveyard, encircling him. One by one, Voldemort rebukes them for abandoning him after his downfall, reminding them that he had trusted them all to remain loyal. He particularly scorns those who claimed they were under the Imperious Curse to escape punishment, and hints that one of his most faithful servants remains at Hogwarts, working toward his cause. Voldemort also explains to his followers how he was able to survive the killing curse that rebounded when he attempted to murder baby Harry. His Horcruxes had anchored him to life, allowing him to remain in a bodiless form until he could regain power. He details his struggles over the years, his time as a mere spirit, the failed attempts by Quirrell, and how Peter Pettigrew played a crucial role in his resurrection. Finally, Voldemort expresses his rage at the fact that Harry Potter, a mere child, has continued to evade death and humiliation. He demands that Harry duel him, setting the stage for the intense confrontation to come. Key moments in the chapter include Voldemort summoning his Death Eaters and addressing their betrayals, the reveal of how Voldemort survived the killing curse, Voldemort's explanation of his struggle to regain power, the mention of his most faithful servant at Hogwarts, the moment Voldemort forces Harry into a duel. Differences between the book and the movie. In the movie, Voldemort does summon his Death Eaters, but the speech he gives is much shorter and lacks many key details about his past. Voldemort's explanation of how he survived is significantly condensed in the film. The book emphasizes Voldemort's fury toward his followers, while the movie portrays him as more composed. That wraps up Chapter 33, The Death Eaters. This chapter marks a terrifying shift in the wizarding world, as Voldemort has returned to power. What do you think about the way Voldemort addresses his Death Eaters? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 34. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 34 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Priori incantatum. This intense chapter takes us deep into the heart of danger as Harry faces his greatest nightmare, Lord Voldemort in the flesh. Forced into a deadly duel, Harry experiences a strange and miraculous magical phenomenon, Priori incantatum. Let's explore the tension, magic, and eerie encounters of this pivotal chapter. After witnessing Cedric Diggory's tragic death at the hands of Peter Pettigrew, Harry is bound and immobilized at the Riddle graveyard. Wormtail uses Harry's blood in a dark ritual to resurrect Voldemort, who emerges from the cauldron, fully restored. As Voldemort gathers his Death Eaters, he taunts and tortures Harry, reveling in his newfound strength. He forces Harry into a duel, expecting an easy victory. However, when their wands connect, a strange phenomenon occurs, Priori incantatum. The wands refuse to battle against each other normally, instead locking in an eerie magical effect. Ghostly echoes of Voldemort's past victims, including Harry's parents, emerge from the wands, giving Harry a brief but crucial moment to escape. With Cedric's spirit urging him to take the Triwizard Cup, Harry seizes the opportunity and manages to break free. As Voldemort and the Death Eaters move in, Harry grabs Cedric's body and activates the portkey, escaping the graveyard and returning to Hogwarts. Key moments in the chapter include Voldemort's full resurrection through dark magic, Voldemort summoning the Death Eaters and calling them out for their past disloyalty, Voldemort's brutal display of power, torturing Harry with the Cruciatus Curse, the moment Voldemort forces Harry into a formal wizard's duel, the shocking event of Priori incantatum, as the wands connect and ghosts of Voldemort's victims appear, Lily and James Potter's spirits guiding Harry and helping him escape, Harry grabbing Cedric's body and using the Triwizard Cup to return to Hogwarts. Book versus movie differences. In the book, Voldemort gives a longer speech to the Death Eaters, criticizing their absence over the years. Harry and Voldemort formally bow before dueling, as Voldemort forces Harry to follow proper etiquette. The Priori incantatum scene is more detailed in the book, showing multiple victims, including Frank Bryce, the Riddle House's caretaker. In the book, Cedric's spirit explicitly tells Harry to take his body back, reinforcing the moment's emotional weight. That wraps up Chapter 34, Priori incantatum. This chapter is one of the most chilling and suspenseful moments in the series. What was your favorite part? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 35. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 35 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled Veritaserum. This chapter is a whirlwind of revelations as we uncover the shocking truth behind Barty Crouch Jr., his role in Voldemort's return, and how he manipulated the Triwizard Tournament to bring Harry to the Dark Lord. Let's unravel the mysteries hidden within this pivotal moment in the series. After escaping from the graveyard and returning to Hogwarts with Cedric's body, Harry is in shock and immense pain. Professor Moody takes him away from the crowd, leading him to his office under the pretense of helping him. However, Moody's behavior becomes increasingly suspicious. He asks Harry strange questions about Voldemort and nearly reveals too much. Just as Moody is about to harm Harry, Dumbledore, McGonagall, and Snape burst into the office, stunning him before he can do anything worse. Dumbledore then forces the truth out of Moody using Veritaserum, a powerful truth serum. Under its influence, Moody confesses that he is Barty Crouch Jr., a loyal Death Eater who had been impersonating the real Alastor Moody all year using Polyjuice Potion. Barty reveals how he escaped from Azkaban, how his father tried to keep him hidden under the Imperious Curse, and how he ultimately killed his own father. He also details how he helped Voldemort by manipulating the Triwizard Tournament so that Harry would touch the portkey and be transported to the Dark Lord. As Barty continues to spill everything, Dumbledore realizes they need to act quickly. He leaves Harry in the office under the watch of Professor McGonagall, while he and Snape rush to inform Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic. But will the Ministry believe them? This chapter marks the climax of the mystery surrounding the Goblet of Fire and sets the stage for the confrontation between Dumbledore and the Ministry in the next chapter. Key moments in the chapter include Harry returns from the graveyard, clutching Cedric's body in trauma. Moody takes Harry to his office, acting strangely and asking about Voldemort. Dumbledore, McGonagall, and Snape arrive just in time to stop Moody. Under the effects of Veritaserum, Moody confesses that he is actually Barty Crouch Jr. Barty reveals how he escaped Azkaban and how he orchestrated Harry's participation in the Triwizard Tournament to help Voldemort. Dumbledore and Snape rush to bring the truth to Cornelius Fudge. Book versus movie differences. In the movie, Barty Crouch Jr.'s confession is much shorter, and some details, like his escape from Azkaban and his father's death, are glossed over. The Veritaserum scene is significantly reduced, and Dumbledore's interrogation of Barty is not as detailed. In the book, Dumbledore, McGonagall, and Snape arrive dramatically to stop Moody from harming Harry, while in the movie, this moment is much less intense. The backstory of Barty Crouch Jr. and his loyalty to Voldemort is much more fleshed out in the book, giving readers a clearer understanding of his motivations. That wraps up Chapter 35, Veritaserum. This chapter is a thrilling reveal of the mastermind behind the Triwizard Tournament's sabotage and solidifies Voldemort's return. What did you think of Barty Crouch Jr.'s confession? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 36, where the battle between Dumbledore and the Ministry begins. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 36 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Parting of the Ways. This chapter is a turning point in the series, marking the moment when the wizarding world begins to fracture as the Ministry of Magic refuses to acknowledge Voldemort's return. Let's explore the tension, confrontations, and key events that shape the future of the series. In the aftermath of Cedric Diggory's death and Harry's traumatic encounter with Voldemort, Harry is taken to Dumbledore's office. Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic, arrives, unwilling to accept the truth about Voldemort's return. He refuses to believe Harry and Dumbledore, dismissing their warnings and instead focusing on maintaining public order. Meanwhile, Barty Crouch Jr., who had confessed to his crimes under Veritaserum, is left unguarded. Before he can testify before the Wisengamot, Fudge brings a Dementor into the office, without realizing its consequences. The Dementor immediately performs the kiss on Crouch Jr., leaving him soulless and unable to provide any further testimony about Voldemort's return. Dumbledore, recognizing the urgency of the situation, begins to give orders. He commands Snape to reach out to his old Death Eater contacts, entrusts Sirius with rallying the old members of the Order of the Phoenix, and instructs McGonagall to help secure Hogwarts. Meanwhile, Fudge, still in denial, hands Harry the Triwizard winnings and storms out, severing ties with Dumbledore and setting the stage for the Ministry's resistance against the truth. As the chapter closes, Dumbledore assures Harry that he is not alone and offers comfort in the face of the terrifying events that have unfolded. Key moments in the chapter include Fudge's refusal to believe Voldemort has returned, insisting that Harry is mistaken. Barty Crouch Jr.'s confession and shocking demise at the hands of a Dementor. Dumbledore's powerful stand against Fudge, marking the start of their rift. The rebirth of the Order of the Phoenix as Dumbledore begins rallying his allies. Snape's subtle confirmation of his loyalty to Dumbledore by showing the Dark Mark. Harry's emotional turmoil as he processes the loss of Cedric and the horror of Voldemort's return. Book versus movie differences. In the movie, this chapter is drastically shortened. Fudge's confrontation with Dumbledore is left out, and there is no mention of the Order of the Phoenix being revived. Barty Crouch Jr.'s fate is not shown in the film. His Dementor's kiss is omitted entirely. The emotional weight of Dumbledore's speech to Harry is much greater in the book, emphasizing that Harry is not alone. That wraps up Chapter 36, The Parting of the Ways. This chapter marks the true beginning of the Second Wizarding War, as the world of magic is now divided between those who accept the truth and those who refuse to believe it. What do you think about Fudge's reaction? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for the final chapter of Goblet of Fire. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into the final chapter of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, titled The Beginning. This chapter serves as a conclusion to the events of the Triwizard Tournament and the shocking return of Lord Voldemort. It sets the stage for the dark times ahead as Harry processes his trauma and prepares for what's to come. The chapter begins in the hospital wing, where Harry wakes up after his terrifying encounter with Voldemort. Madame Pomfrey treats his injuries while Ron, Hermione, and the Weasleys watch over him. Dumbledore and Sirius Black, in his animagus dog form, arrive, and Dumbledore speaks privately with Harry. The headmaster listens intently as Harry recounts everything that happened in the graveyard, the return of Voldemort, the duel, and the shadows of his parents who appeared during Priori incantatum. Dumbledore then sends Sirius to contact members of the Old Order of the Phoenix, including Remus Lupin. He also instructs Snape to carry out a mysterious task, later revealed to be contacting his old Death Eater connections. This moment subtly hints at Snape's complex role in the upcoming conflict. Meanwhile, Fudge refuses to believe that Voldemort has returned. He brings a